Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Judicious Fire, and I am here with all the heroes in Castle Clash. We're going to look at each and every hero. We're going to look at talent, insignia, enchantment, trait, and possible pet pairing. A how-to guide on how to build our heroes in the game of Castle Clash. Please hit the subscribe button. Let's keep stuff like this going. Want to make one quick point, and then I'm going to jump right into it. Okay? I think that availability is the key factor in Castle Clash. You can recommend a particular pet, but if a player does not have that pet, what does it matter anyway? So availability is key in this game. Number 2 is playstyle. And our particular playstyle, it's going to vary from person to person. I've never seen Castle Clash as a right or wrong or a black and white. There's a spectrum. And that spectrum shows how well we're utilizing our hero based on its skill description and its intended role in this game. So we're trying to build heroes that have utility and can actually have an impact in today's game. We're trying to build heroes that are experts at just one thing. We don't want generalists. We don't want jacks of all trades. All you'll get is an average hero that's pretty good at a lot of stuff. You want a hero that excels at one thing better than anybody. Bring 5 or 6 of those experts together, and now you have a team of experts, a team that can't be beaten. It's the kind of heroes we're trying to build. Let's go in reverse chronological order. We have Ms. Magic. Ms. Magic is with a Flame Guard. She is a support hero. You got to keep her alive. She's going to give a big dodge boost. She's going to give a energy regain as well as a attack speed boost to your team. Longer she stays alive, the stronger and better the rest of your team can perform. Give her a Sacred Light. Give her a combination through talent and insignia of damage reduction, damage mitigation, talents that are going to provide maybe extra health, a healing process. You want to go defensive on her. She can also be prone to reflect and deflect damage through the little attack that she does. That is best negated through a Wicked Armor. So typically I'm running Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, Flame Guard, Sacred Light, Flame Guard, Wicked Armor. And that tends to keep her alive through the full battle. She's helped tremendously through the enchantment Holy Conviction. It's going to be an enchantment I keep coming back to because it's currently the only enchantment that gives this much needed huge boost in damage reduction that our heroes, it's essential in today's game. With a Holy Conviction, she's going to stay alive. Also get a better healing process from pets and from healers on your team. That's going to be one I come back to often. I think a healing ritual will be a nice second choice, but you can't touch Holy Conviction for keeping support heroes like her alive. I went all dodge. When it comes to support heroes, you don't want them to get hit. Their accuracy typically doesn't matter because what they do best is given to your team regardless of accuracy. So I gave her dodge. Keep her alive. Keep her out of danger. It also applies very well with her skill ability that boosts dodge for herself and everybody globally on the board. A pet. Mutant Cute Kitsune would probably be my number 1. It increases dodge, so it's going to help her gain her own level of dodge. Then she boosts that. Then she boosts it for your whole team. So the dodge is coming from her. Why not boost that so she can give that dodge to everybody else on your team? Cute Kitsune is great. I think any of the healing pets are great. A mini Angie, a Bublo, Rudolph, Fennec, anything that's going to help to keep her alive. Let's move on. We have Wordless Zealot. Wordless Zealot is an attack hero. He's a hero killer. He is a very self-sufficient hero, kind of a hero unto himself. Very good for player versus player and upfront kind of fighting. It's going to get a big critical increase. So his likelihood of completing a successful critical strike, that will be increased, not the damage that is caused. I think that he needs some damage reduction to stay alive for the full battle. I typically just run a Sacred Light on him. I think that's a great talent to have for the guy. He has some deflect built into him, certainly, but a dead hero deflects nothing. So I think that a little bit of damage reduction through like a Sacred Light would be great. You go into maybe a Wicked Armor if you want to increase his attack and lower the reflect and deflect that he takes. I think in my case, I put a Brute Force on the man, and I think there's another great option. He already has the crit rate. Why not give him a crit damage boost atop that? And he can hit into the millions with this kind of a build. So, Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, Brute Force, Flame Guard, Sacred Light, some combination of those, 4 talents and insignias. For enchantment, I went with Holy Conviction. Again, it will lower his deflect, but that doesn't matter so much. I'm not worried about the deflect he puts off. I'm worried about him staying alive and doing strikes into the millions. That's much better. For his enchantments, I went all accuracy. He's a hero killer. All accuracy on hero killers. Otherwise, they're just dancing around doing nothing. They've got to hit to be effective. For pets, I would run Drogo Pet on this guy. Drogo Pet has a natural reflect, and it stacks with Wordless Zealot. And what you will find is that for approximately 4 out of every 6 seconds, Wordless Zealot becomes totally invulnerable and takes 0 damage. So again, great thing to have a little damage reduction on him for those 2 seconds when that wears off, especially if guys are beating on him. This kind of a build, you're going to have a Wordless Zealot who sticks around for the full 3 minutes and does a heck of a lot of damage in things even like Arena. Let's move on. We have Beserker. Beserker throws out a whole bunch of projectiles. He also has the ability to self-destruct and then a chance to come back and live another life. Then self-destruct again, a chance to come back. That self-destruct can break through a damage cap that a Levanica would have, a Dovekeeper, or a Zephyrica. This is a hero that is kind of designed to die. Otherwise, he's not utilizing the number one thing that his ability provides in this game. I have Vampiric Grail on him as one way to use him. With a Vampiric Grail and maybe a Sacred Light insignia, or even a Survival insignia, or a Sacred Light and a Survival, you're giving him now the ability to stay alive and do base damage, and do so in a matter of seconds, clean out a base of its buildings. If you're looking to do hero damage, you're going to have to suppress the healing of those you're attacking. And so I found that a soul healer works very, very well. You also don't necessarily want him to be dying until the right moment. But when he does die, you want it to be so explosive a self-destruct that it kills off the Zephyrica. That's where an Unholy Pact comes in. So damage reduction and consistent healing if you want to do base damage. If you want him to start beating on heroes, lower their ability to heal, and then blow up and kill them, something like a Soul Healer Unholy Pact combination is really, really nice. So 2 different ways to use this guy. I went with a Healing Ritual as his enchantment, and I think either way you run him, it's always going to be helping him. As long as he's attacking, he's going to be gaining a little bit more health and keep him in the battle. Especially if he does come back from a revive, he will not be at 100% health. And this does help him to come back to full health. For his traits, if you want to run just base damage, I would go all dodge. I went all accuracy on the guy because I want to utilize his ability to blow up and actually hit heroes when he does explode. That does require accuracy. So either accuracy or dodge, depending on which way you want to do it. If you're doing the base damage route, you want some kind of a healing pet or a pet that increases dodge. There are probably 6 to choose from in the game. If you're looking for extra damage when he explodes, you need to get his attack up. I would pick one of the newer pets, one of the mutant pets that maybe have some attack traits on, or a pet that causes a lot of damage. That could be like a Brave Croc, it could be a Bellicose Bull, it could be even like a Cold Drake. Anything that's going to cause damage against the enemy and hopefully boost his attack. Dark Mage. Okay, Dark Mage. And I'm going to show you the build that I use basically 100% of the time. Dark Mage is the only hero in this game that can cut through a true piety effect. And this is where a hero takes damage, but the damage converts itself into healing. And that can be a very, very hard hero to kill. Rambard does that, and he becomes basically immortal through this process. Occultist does that and can be very, very hard to kill off. The talent or insignia True Piety does this to a certain degree, and it makes heroes harder to kill off. Dark Mage says, forget that stuff, and just hits them hard no matter what. He's the secret to taking those kinds of heroes out. I have found that a defensive build for Dark Mage, where you're trying to really keep him alive for the full 3 minute battle, it makes a Dark Mage that's unable to kill Rambards and Occultists and a Zeph with True Piety. I use Dark Mage as a special tool. I put him in a specific battle. Maybe he's going to die, but in that minute, 2 minutes that he's alive, he's killed off any Rambard, Occultist, whatever. He's got to have really strong and high attack ability if he's going to hit him with a strike that is greater than their health pool. So I made a very attack-oriented Dark Mage, and he has been very, very successful in killing off the heroes that I want dead at a specific time. Use him like a special tool. I put a Wicked Armor on him because the man will get killed immediately through Reflect and Deflect. I made that his primary talent because it was a necessity. I then put a Brute Force on him. This increases his attack as well as the damage he does through critical strikes. And I went with a Punishing Smite, increasing his critical likelihood. So the man does crit and crits reliably and consistently. But when he does, and he does it to a Rambard, he will hit for 4 million. And finally, Rambard will be killed off. Otherwise, you're just going to time out and have a standstill with a defensive build Dark Mage. I went with all accuracy traits. Without that, he's got nothing. I went with a Holy Conviction because I've got to keep him alive long enough that he's able to actually deliver these criticals. So it's that blend and balance between a little bit of damage reduction and now the ability to perform massive strikes. For pets, I like a healing pet on the guy. I think any of the pets that provide healing are great. Any of the pets that might help to increase his dodge a little bit or lower the dodge of those that I'm attacking. A pet like Battle Monkey does a great job at lowering the dodge of, say, the Rambard that he's fighting so he can kill it off with 1 or 2 good crit strikes. Dark Mage, a really great hero that performs one specific purpose better than anybody, an expert. Alphamech. I've only ever run Alphamech with a Flame Guard. He's immune to silence, and that means that Flame Guard can't be taken away from him. If you want to look at Alphamech as a guy who does damage to those around him in a radius, that'd be a perfect way to describe him. He's like a Rosaleen 2.0. So those around him will be hurt. He does not have a global attack. He does not have the ability to harm those who are coming in from the other side of the base. So that is a limitation. He's more of a player versus player, small board kind of thing, lost battlefield setup. I think a Sacred Light is great, but typically I am running a Wicked Armor, and that is to lower the reflect and deflect that he takes. Also gets his attack up. So I think a Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, Flame Guard, Wicked Armor, some combination of these are very, very helpful. I went with a Holy Conviction to give him a little bit of damage reduction, as well as a better healing process with a pet or a healer on the team. I went with all accuracy, because without accuracy, he's not actually hitting the enemy. That's a necessity. For pets, I think a pet that provides some heal, a pet that provides maybe a little bit of extra dodge, a little bit of extra accuracy. We can augment our pet's traits based on our needs in this game. So you have to keep in mind that it can become very individualized and specialized. So any of our healing pets or any of our pets that do damage and help to increase maybe his accuracy or his dodge if you're having a problem keeping him alive. This is a hero that does some really nice damage, but he is limited by his range. Cinder Matron. Cinder Matron throws out some damage. She gets this really big critical boost, crit rate boost, as well as a crit damage boost. She's a crit specialist. Now, that has some utility in today's game, but she is not a hero that I go to very often. She's a hero that does do the crit well, but not much else. As far as her build, I went with a Vigorous Fury. I think a Vigorous Fury and a Brute Force, or a Brute Force Vigorous Fury, makes her better at what it is she's designed to do. You're going to need all accuracy on her because she's a hero killer, or at least that's what she's supposed to be doing. For her enchantment, you could go with a Punishing Smite. I think it might be a little bit even too much. I think, again, a Holy Conviction just to keep her alive long enough that she's at least given the opportunity to provide these critical strikes that can range into the millions, but she's got to stay alive for at least a couple of seconds for that to happen. A pet, again, a healing pet, a pet that provides a little bit of lowering of dodge, like Battle Monkey, increase in her dodge to help keep her alive, like Kitsune. If you want to up her damage, you could do Bellicose Bull. You could do Brave Croc. Bull providing more damage that the enemy receives. Croc giving her chance to up her attack if that's the kind of traits you want to run. So look at her as like kind of a specialized tool, but she is not a hero that I would put really high up there in terms of like heroes you got to get in this game. Rune Master. Okay, Rune Master is a hero that does a lot of things and does them well. He is a hero that provides a wall, a lock of movement and ability of those who are attacking or that he's attacking. They really can't do anything for a certain period of time. They're kind of stuck in place. He does that very, very well. It's really his specialty. He also has a damage cap. Now that damage cap has, little asterisks next to it. Certain things have to occur. But when it does happen, it keeps him alive for a really, really long time. I find that a defensive build is a real advantage. Something that provides extra health and damage reduction. Flame Guard, Sacred Light, Flame Guard with a Wicked Armor so he doesn't take reflect and deflect. Wicked Armor, Sacred Light, Wicked Armor. Wicked Armor, Flame Guard. These are really the kind of the primary talents for heroes such as this. He is also a hero that does have an auto proc ability, and it is a very, very beneficial auto proc ability. He can be a great base defender. So something like a Sacred Light, Flame Guard, but then as an insignia and empower. So he's able to continually generate his skill, provide that lock against those who are attacking you. All of a sudden, they stand there like dunces while the rest of your team comes in and kills them off. Rune Master is a great hero. Now, he does require accuracy for the damage effects to take place, and I would recommend accuracy as his traits. For pets, I typically run a maybe like a Cold Drake, which pairs very well with what he does against flying enemies. I typically run a like a Kitsune if I want to get his dodge up, Battle Monkey if I want to get the dodge down of those who are attacking him directly, and people do attack him directly because they want to take him out right away because he's locking up all their heroes. I think basically those 3 or 4. If you don't have access to those pets, I would go with some kind of a healing pet. Mini Angie, Bublo, Fennec, Rudolph, any of those are great. Try to keep the guy alive, keep him in there. He'll do most of the work for you. He's a real premier hero, and he's a hero that can be counted on in today's game. Valiant Saintess. Valiant Saintess cuts through damage caps. She can kill a Zeph with 1 strike. She can kill a Dove with 1 strike. She can kill Lava with 1 hit. She does the same thing as Bloody Mary does, but I've found that she has a much higher survivability rate. This is based on the fact that she gets damage reduction, like a healing process. She's more self-sufficient a hero. A Flame Guard or a Sacred Light with a Wicked Armor. Wicked Armor, Sacred Light. Wicked Armor, Flame Guard. Some combination of these two. It's one of these heroes again. Heroes that are capable of doing a great deal of damage, but that damage is so great that it only takes a hero with some reflect or deflect for it to come back at them and kill them. So you need some damage reduction, and you need some damage reflect and deflect negation through Wicked Armor. So some combo like that, I would go with accuracy traits. She's a hero killer. Without accuracy, she's just dancing around like it's a disco. She's got to hit heroes. I went with a Holy Conviction to give her a little bit of extra survivability for the damage reduction, extra healing process for herself. For pets, I typically give her a pet that increases dodge. She's already so super high in accuracy. See, almost 20,000 accuracy, that if I give her a pet with a little bit of dodge, say in this case, Cute Kitsune, all of a sudden, she's almost at 13,000 dodge now. It's because I chose to put dodge on that particular pet, and that will vary based on our own choices. But regardless, that pet will increase dodge of your hero and nearby heroes. So give her something that's going to help to keep her alive. She'll take care of damage just fine, especially when you have a Wicked Armor on her. So all accuracy, Holy Conviction, and that typical spectrum of talents and insignias that are going to help to provide damage negation and the lowering of the possibility of reflect and deflect damage. Valiant Saintess is an awesome hero, and I use her all the time. Ice Lady. Ice Lady gives a little... Ice Lady's like Pumpkin Duke. She gives attack speed boost. She lowers the dodge of heroes around her. She's like a mini Pumpkin Duke. She doesn't nearly buff or boost your team as well as he does. I found Ice Lady to have limited utility and use in this game. I'm just being honest. And the only way I'm able to keep her alive for any duration is, again, the same kind of damage reduction or damage deflection kind of builds. Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, Sacred Light, Flame Guard, Sacred Light, combo, all these kinds of things. And I had a little bit of extra dodge that I added for her. That was really just for like Forgotten Trials and things like that. I was giving her an attempt. She did not perform well in there either. So I wouldn't call her a needed hero in today's game. I wouldn't go out of your way. Holy Conviction as a great enchantment. She needs damage reduction. Otherwise, she turns to dust immediately. And I look at her more as a support hero because of the attack and attack speed boost and the lowering of the enemy's dodge. She does that much better than her attacks. So I gave her all dodge. And I think that's probably the best way to do it. Let her be a support hero, thereby staying away from getting hit. Boreal Fox. Fox is a great hero, great defense hero. Fox is the kind of hero that rains down a certain area and it freezes everybody up and they're unable to activate their abilities, move, do anything. They basically get shut down. He can do that, but you got to keep him alive. I think that he's one of those heroes, and we'll come to about 5 of them in this review. One of those heroes that you can do Sacred Light and Flame Guard, like we've talked about, but you've got to have a Wicked Armor in there somewhere. I also find him better as a defensive hero on base. So I think that an Empower for his auto proc is necessary. I really like to run him with like an Empower, and then his insignia is a Wicked Armor. And that's probably how I run him the most. An Empower with a Wicked Armor insignia. This way I can keep him on base. He doesn't get killed off. He survives better with this than he does with a Sacred Light or a Flame Guard. And I know that seems counterintuitive, but he performs better as a hero when he's just Empower and Wicked Armor. I do a Holy Conviction for a little bit of damage reduction, and I do... I think that accuracy is probably the best thing for the man. I have all dodge on my Boreal Fox. That was a choice that I made, but I think that accuracy is probably the best thing if you want hero killing. If you're just looking to shut people down and shut things down in certain game modes, dodge is great. But if you're looking to actually hurt the heroes that you're locking in place and freezing, I would go with an accuracy. I think that Cold Drake is great on him. It'll give him some reflect, deflect. I think that anything that provides healing, any healing pet in this game, those heroes that provide, those pets that provide dodge boost or dodge reduction, I wouldn't push it too hard on his attack ability. He's more of a hero that's designed to hold people in place while your stronger attackers come in and lop off their heads. Okay? It's like the one that holds them. So Boreal Fox, a great defender. I'd go so far as to call him an essential hero in this game. Okay, we've got ourselves Crystal Wraith. Crystal Wraith is a hero that does a bunch of attacks, gives the ability for other heroes on the team to do some extra attacks as well, extra damage in combat. This is a specialist hero. I've never really used him outside of Archdemon and occasional Ember Army. I've not really used him in any other way. This is why I have a Sunder for extra hits in combat. It's good for high DPS in those game modes that I just mentioned. I would not call him a general use hero. To build him as a general use hero, you're robbing him of the thing that he does best. And then you're just going to get an average hero, and you'll soon say to yourself, well, there's a better hero to replace him with. So he's just specializing in really high DPS for our team in something like an Archdemon. Sunder, a Brawlers. I have all attack on the man. All attack traits. And a Pyre Mage. Yes, a Pyre Mage for an extra helper attacker in combat. For pets, I almost always run Bellicose Bull on Crystal Wraith because of its attack ability and because of its ability to cause the enemy to receive more damage in combat. All of these things meld very, very well with Crystal Wraith. So an essential hero for high DPS game modes, but an optional hero for general use gameplay. Rambard. Rambard is basically unkillable. Rambard is a great attack hero Now, he will not do attack damage, but he's going to keep the other members of your team alive so they can do attack damage. So he's often on an attack team that I build. He's also a great base defender. He's going to keep the other heroes on your base alive. His has a global effect. He heals. He provides a deflect of damage to the other heroes. And he, as an individual hero, becomes nearly impossible to kill. With the exception of using a dark mage, it's nearly impossible to kill this guy under any normal game mode circumstance. I run him two different ways. If I'm running an attack, I do True Piety and maybe a Sacred Light. And that's basically an unkillable Rambard. If you find that your Rambard is getting frozen up by like Boreal Fox or paralyzed by Cosmo procs and things like that, then maybe a True Piety with an Empower insignia. And it will allow him to generate energy and perform his skill, even when he's under those kinds of lockup effects. If I have him on base as a defender, I'll typically run Empower, and then as his insignia, I do a True Piety. And the only reason, they're two exactly the same builds, just reverse of each other, mirrors of each other. The only reason I do that is because with the use of a True Piety insignia, I'm getting like 1,500 extra attack on the man. And it's just a better combo when you want to min-max stats. Not a big deal and not a game changer. So typically True Piety, Sacred Light, and if you're having trouble with getting frozen or stunned or something, True Piety, and then an Empower insignia. I do a Holy Conviction, and he's straight dodge. Nothing about this guy and what he does requires accuracy or attack of any kind. Just straight dodge. For pet, I like to run Cold Drake on him because of the extra deflect. You can run Drogo, but not to the great effect that you can with some other heroes. You could run an extra healing pet. I think something like a Rudolph would be great. It would just make the man, if it's possible, even more immortal, or even more less prone to his health dipping down so low that you start to worry. This is not an attack hero to do damage, but to help support your other heroes so they can stay alive and do damage. Also, with a Doom Balloon pet, he can basically solo every base in Castle Clash. There's really nothing that can stop him. You could just lay him out on the board and all by himself in a matter of 2 minutes, the buildings will all be gone just through Doom Balloon. He's not doing the damage. He's just a carrier for Doom Balloon that happens to be immortal under most circumstances. A great hero, an essential hero, an amazing hero, and a game change hero in the fact that playstyle has to be adapted when you see one of these on the opponent's team. Jumbear. Jumbear is a hero that does some stun. He does some damage. He's a good overall hero with a real high survivability rate. I think a Flame Guard is good for him. I think a Sacred Light would also be good. Is another one of those heroes. Flame Guard, Sacred Light, Flame Guard. You need Wicked Armor because you don't want him to die from Reflect and Deflect. So Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, Flame Guard, Wicked Armor. All these mixed around. They're all going to perform basically the same utility. Let him stay alive. Outside of some Here Be Monsters, advanced stage Here Be Monsters, I've not really used Jumbear all that often. I would not go so far as to call him an essential hero or somebody that you must have. I have a Holy Conviction on the man. I have all dodge. Because in the few things I'm using him, accuracy isn't really something that's dependent on success. If you're going to use him as an attack hero, you would want accuracy on the man. I think a healing pet is going to be great. Anything that provides extra dodge. If your dodge is already really high and you've put traits that increase accuracy or attack on a particular pet, you might want to try that. I think that maybe even the old school pets like Mini Angie would be great for him. So Try to keep him alive. Allow him to do what he does. He provides kind of a wall effect in certain Here Be Monsters and advanced hero trial kind of game modes. Not an essential hero. Okay, we've got ourselves Landwalker. Landwalker locks people up in front of him. And it's like he kind of throws a lasso, if you will. And it stops anybody from getting away. During that time, he's doing damage. I've found good use with a silent cover. I think also a Sacred Light, Flame Guard, now with a Wicked Armor. Some combination of these is always going to be helping this particular style of hero. I have all accuracy on the guy. Without that, he's not doing anything. I also have a Holy Conviction on him now to give him a little bit of extra damage reduction. So the better you can keep him alive so he can actually perform his task. He's not much of an attacker. He's somebody who shuts down the enemy so your better attackers can actually kill him. But he's not a support hero. He's not really helping the team or making them any stronger. He's one of those heroes that's kind of in the center, and that isn't good for Castle Clash. He's not a hero that I go to very often. So definitely not an essential hero. I think you're going to have to give him some kind of pet that provides extra dodge, that provides like a Kukitsune, lowers the dodge of the enemy, like a Battle Monkey. Maybe a Fennec pet, maybe a Rudolph, give him some extra healing, try to keep him alive, but he's not a hero I would go out and chase in this game. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary is a hero that really did have an impact on this game, very much like Valiant Saintess. She's going to perform a series of attacks that cut through damage caps. Kill off Zephs, kill off Doves, kill off Levanicas. That's a hero that puts out so much damage that you're going to have a Wicked Armor. There's really one way I run my Bloody Mary and no other way, and that's always a Flame Guard with a Wicked Armor. And she survives great under those circumstances. She does have the ability to auto-proc, but it's a useless auto-proc. The bad guys have to be right up next to her for it to even count. It's not global. If there's a global auto-proc, I'll mention it during the hero descriptions. So Flame Guard and a Wicked Armor, a Sacred Light Wicked Armor will be great, but if your Mary's dying, it's because of Reflect Deflect. Get a Wicked Armor on her somewhere. I have a Holy Conviction. She needs some damage reduction. She does not have that. She doesn't even have a healing process. I have all accuracy. She's a hero killer. You got to get her accuracy as high as possible. Hers should be somewhere around 20,000. And you can increase that if you've put accuracy traits on your pets. For pets, for Mary, I typically give her a pet that provides a little extra dodge or lowers the dodge of those enemies that are in front of her. I think also a little bit of extra attack damage, a little bit of extra attack added to her. It depends on how you choose to run your traits for your heroes or for your pets. Also, the old schoolers, they never fail. The great healing pets like Mini Angie, Rudolph, Fennec, Bublo, those pets can be relied upon and can be the difference between life and death in some circumstances. So while we do have these great mutant and super pets, we still have the old school pets that really can be relied upon. Hotshot. Hotshot does damage to those out in front of him. He's an okay hero. He's not a hero I would go out and chase. There's a reason why a particular hero card just gives out like 50 hotshots. Well, because he performs a limited utility in this game. He's an attack hero, yeah. He's got pretty high attack speed, yes. He can do some damage, yes. But you'll find that there are other heroes that can do that far, far better and that survive longer. I've experimented with different things. I think like a Flame Guard, Sacred Light, Wicked Armor combo, yet again. Some combo of those three is going to be great. I also have a Sunder on here just to increase his attacks. His likelihood to perform multiple attacks and get higher DPS. That's just for like little niche game modes. He's not a hero that I use often or at all. That's just my particular play style. But defensive, if you want to keep him alive, or if you want to really take advantage of his high attack speed, something like a Sunder, great against goblins, bosses, stuff like that. I have a Holy Conviction on the man to help to keep him alive, give him a little bit extra damage reduction. I have all accuracy on him. He's a hero killer without accuracy. He's just dancing around in a strange outfit. For pets, if you're running high DPS game modes, you probably want to use something like a Brave Croc or a Bellicose Bull or maybe a Cold Drake or a what's that one called that gets the I always want to say it's an owl. It's not an owl. It's a Sage Lioness. To me, it always looks like an owl. The Mutant Sage Lioness does a really nice job of locking up those who are in front, and then Hotshot starts blasting them. Not a hero that I would call essential that I would go out of my way for. Queen Wasp. Queen Wasp gives you a big accuracy boost. Really buffs your team and helps them. She's a nice support hero. Because of that, I run her defensive. And again, it's one of these same kind of combos. Flame Guard, or maybe Sacred Light is better. Wicked Armor with a Sacred Light. Whatever your availability dictates that you can choose as a builder of heroes. For her abilities, for her traits, I went all dodge. I consider her a support hero. She is not designed to be out hero killing. She's designed to be giving all of these different boosts and buffs to your team, especially an accuracy boost, which is something that's really not done by any other hero in this game. This is the thing that she does that's different than the other heroes. So I want to support that through dodge and let her be a support hero. For a pet, I would probably go something that provides some healing for her. And there are many pets to choose from, probably about 6 different healing pets. For her enchantment, I went Holy Conviction yet again. She needs some damage reduction, otherwise she gets turned to dust. So let her survive long enough that she's able to give that big accuracy boost to up to 10 nearby friendly heroes. Help you in a lot of different game modes. She's a hero that I use only occasionally. So not essential, but is still a useful, high utility hero as far as heroes go. Okay, Bogeyman. Bogeyman does massive damage to 5 enemy targets. Bogeyman can one-shot pretty much any hero in this game that doesn't have a damage cap. Bogeyman has been around for a little while, and his role and abilities and maybe the way that we build him has changed to keep up with the times in Castle Clash. I still think Unholy Pact is a great way to run the man. It is going to provide the most damage that you can possibly, get out of a talent. For his insignia, if you're using him in player versus player game modes, you want to kill off the heroes as quickly as possible. This is where you might want to use a Revitalize. So, some kind of high damage dealing talent and a Revitalized insignia. A Hyper Strength enchantment is going to increase his damage dealing capability even more. As far as his traits go, you can make the argument that attack traits will increase his abilities to kill even greater than any other option. But I would say that in today's game, an accuracy Bogeyman is the way to go. If you are familiar with things like Lost Battlefield, etc., you've seen Bogeyman coming towards you from the other team. And you've seen that Bogeyman drop happen into your heroes. But your heroes don't even get hit. It's because it's an attack Bogeyman. You need an accuracy Bogeyman in today's game. An accuracy Bogeyman will actually kill off 2 or 3 members of the opposing team in a lost battlefield. But you got to jack his accuracy up to at least 19, 20,000. If you can get that even higher with a pet, that's great. If you choose not to go that way and increase his attack, put Punching Box on him. Punching Box will give him a huge attack increase. If you don't have a Punching Box, do Drogo. Drogo will give him a slightly less attack increase, but it's still very, very beneficial, very substantial. If you want to use Bogeyman to defend your base, you might want to go with something like an Empower insignia. He will auto proc. Every couple of seconds, he'll drop this strike down on 5 enemies. And he does a great job at that. But he's got to have accuracy. So, Empower for the auto proc. Revite for the instant skill activation in player versus player modes. And maybe Hyper Strength to get his attack up. But accuracy is necessary on today's Bogeyman for him to be effective against premier heroes that have high dodge. Laz is an awesome hero. One of those heroes that, when you roll him, you say to yourself, my gosh, all of a sudden game modes are practically unlocked to you and you start to do really, really well. He's a hero that you want to get your hands on. He's a hero with super high survivability, as well as the ability to do massive area damage. He puts out a freeze shield that pulsates. It can take out a third of the board. During that time, he becomes invulnerable. I think a Sacred Light, Flame Guard, one of those two is great. You can also do a Revive. I've found that a Sacred Light or Flame Guard Laz actually lasts longer than a Revive Laz. Revive Lazes tend to come back from the dead, get killed by the next strike that hits them, come back from the dead, get killed again. But when you have some damage reduction and damage deflection, like with a Flame Guard, all of a sudden you've got a Laz that really lasts a long time. If you want instant skill activation, and that can be very, very beneficial, I will often run Flame Guard with and I have it right now, with a Revite. And the moment I put him out on the board, boom, there's 35% base damage. So he's a hero that really does well in that particular respect. For his enchantment, I have Holy Conviction. Keep him alive, especially during that brief time that he becomes vulnerable. For his traits, he doesn't have enough attack ability to really kill off today's top tier heroes that are fully maxed out. This is why I decided instead of accuracy, I went with dodge on the guy. And it just keeps him alive even longer. It provides, that great freeze effect. The majority of heroes do get hit and fall under its effects. And it allows him to do great base damage, even in advanced dungeons, even in the highest insane dungeons. So I went with dodge on the guy. If I didn't do that, I would probably go with something like accuracy. But dodge, I think, is the number one to go to. Keep your Laz alive as long as possible. For pets, I often run Bublo on the guy. It gives him a real quick speed boost, movement boost. And when you're running the Revite, you want him to hit a building and activate as quickly as possible. Bublo will help with that. It'll zip him right over to a building. Boom, he goes off, and he can get the party started. It'll also give him a consistent heal. Bublo will always be activating on a timer. Every couple of seconds will be continually healing Laz. If you don't want to do something like that, increases dodge, increases accuracy, increases attack. I can do all these based on the traits that you choose for your pet, for mutant and super pets. Let's move on. We have Phobos. Phobos is a heck of a hero killer. He's a hero killer that does a lot of things, but does, one or two better than anybody. He dramatically reduces damage. He also silences, but only to those heroes that are, in his nearby area. So he's not quite as good as like an Ares or a Ripper in the silencing department, but he does stay alive a long time. He's a good head-to-head hero fighter. He's a hero that I often have on an attack team. He is a hero, and there aren't many of them, But kind of like Boreal Fox, where I find that if I use him in a defensive mode, base defense, I'm going to have it in power and a wicked armor. And he stays alive a lot longer. You also get full use of his own built-in deflect, and that can make a big difference. Now, if I'm having trouble keeping the man alive, I don't mind sacrificing some deflect by giving him some Sacred Light. And then Sacred Light paired up with a wicked armor. So I would get the wicked armor in there no matter what, probably as an insignia, and then doing one of these two to keep him alive long enough that he's able to cumulatively bring down energy and silence those who are around him. I have a Holy Conviction on there. Comes at the sacrifice of a little bit of deflect, but the dead deflect nothing. I also have all dodge on the guy. And it's because I use him as a more like a support hero and not necessarily what he's intended to be used for. I think probably the case of accuracy would be a better choice. So go with accuracy traits so he can actually hit and do damage. I've not found that it's been a real problem, and in the ways that I use him, I found that dodge is really nice. That'd probably be my second choice. You could also make the case that health would be pretty good on the guy, because then it keeps his deflect pure. Depends on your particular player style. Remember, it's a spectrum. For pets, Drogo stacks with his ability, and he'll zero out, and he won't take any damage for a number of seconds, like 4 out of 6 seconds. So Phobos with Drogo pet is always great. If you don't like that, put a healing pet on him, because that's the one thing that he's lacking. So there's a lot of options, I know, on Phobos, but I would have a little damage reduction on him so he doesn't get killed. I would have some wicked armor on him somewhere so he doesn't die from reflect and deflect. I would think about accuracy through pet or trait. And I would also not shy away from dodge. He needs a little bit of that in order to keep in the battle, especially when there's a whole bunch of heroes up in his face. Wallawalla, oh my gosh, old man Walla came down from the mountain. Old man Walla is probably one of the greatest heroes in Castle Clash. An absolute top tier defender, top tier hero, top tier healer, top tier attack, boost, and buffer. He is a support hero. But he's so good that you can use him on your attack teams. You can use him in base defense. I use Walla every day. I use Walla primarily with the Flame Guard and an Empower insignia if I'm doing a base defense. He'll heal everybody. He'll remove conditions. He'll give you all big attack boosts. Does a great job at that. You could do Sacred Light as well. You could do Flame Guard Sacred Light. You could do Sacred Light Wicked Armor. Flame Guard Wicked Armor if your wall is dying from Reflect and Deflect. You could do Empower Wicked Armor, but you see I'm staying within 4 or 5 different kinds of talents and insignias. That Sunder down there is for the game mode Archdemon and plays no other role in Castle Clash. So it's not something that I would recommend outside of that one particular game mode. For equipment, I have a Holy Conviction on the man and all dodge, straight dodge. He's a support hero. And other than the one little attack that he does, everything else is not dependent on accuracy. He'll boost and buff and do all those great things, heal your whole team, regardless of accuracy. So give him dodge so he doesn't get hit. For pets, I typically run him with Cold Drake or with Bellicose Bull when he's defending. I tend to keep Walla toward the inside of my base when I'm defending, not out in the exterior where he's susceptible to attack. And Cold Drake and Bellicose Bull are 2 pets that operate all the time. And they can be on a hero that's on the inside of your base. They aren't dependent on being attacked or doing any attacking. They're like a mini Angie with that effect. Walla is an awesome, awesome hero. A go-to hero. An incredibly game-changing hero. And once you have him, you're not really using too many other healers as your go-to primary healer. This guy took the place of those. Oh, we have Demogorgon. Demo is one of the older dragons, but he still provides a really nice blind, and he hits multiple heroes at once. There's only one hero in Castle Clash, Ripper, who's immune to his blind, so he can be a hero that does a lot for you. You can run two different kinds of builds on the guy. I find that in today's game, a Sacred Light and then a Wicked Armor tends to keep him alive the best. That's really like my go-to build 99% of the time. A Holy Conviction and all accuracy traits. I'll run a healing pet on him so he can have some kind of a healing process. If you want to do take advantage of his great critical ability, I would make sure to have Wicked Armor on there, and then maybe like a Brute Force insignia, and he'll get a higher critical damage from his attacks against the enemy, but not die from the reflect and deflect. So all accuracy on the man, give him some ability to heal through pet, and give him the ability to mitigate reflect and deflect damage by having somewhere on there a Wicked Armor. Occultist. Occultist is a great healer. He changes damage into healing. And that is, basically what he does to those heroes around him. He is not global. So it's just those heroes that are in a nearby area. And that nearby area for Occultist is a little bit larger than most. I think I measured it out to about 13 squares away from you. That's about as far as his effect will happen. So do keep that in mind. Whereas Walla is global, he's only, those that are about a 13 square distance from where he is at any given moment. He does almost no attack. So Sacred Light, Flame Guard, you can do anything. A Soul Healer, get his health up. Anything that's going to bring up his health and his likelihood to stay alive. You don't have to worry about Wicked Armor with this guy. He doesn't do enough attack damage. He is an auto-proc hero. And just like Wallawalla with an Empower, he is going to provide these great boosts to your team. Except Occultist will be restricted by range. And Walla is fully global. Occultist is a pretty good hero. He's a hero that I probably use less and less in today's game. But if I'm doing real head-to-head hero fighting and I want to make sure that my team starts to turn damage into healing and they're all in a tight grouping, Occultist is your man. If you're going to be dropping heroes on the board through an attack, I would go more so with a Wallawalla. So Occultist real good for what it is he does into support of the team. I have all dodge on the man and a Holy Conviction. I would probably give him a healing pet, or I'd give him a pet that increases some dodge, depending on the traits of the pet. Kitsune does that without even adding dodge traits. Get his dodge up. Don't let him take any damage, although he can change it into healing. If he gets hit with a strike that's greater than his health pool, he's dead. Man has no damage cap. So a good hero, definitely above average, not one that you absolutely positively need. Gunslinger, oh, Gunny, good old Gunny. Gunny is a great base defender. She's like the queen of HBM. She is the queen of hero trials. She sends out copters. They mess everybody up. They're totally on their own. They got their own brain. They're out there fighting on the board. She's just sitting on the base, just eating a sandwich. So she's a great hero to have. A great defender to have. She's a hero that these days in Castle Clash, I'm using specifically really just for one or two game modes. And they're all high DPS game modes. Like Archdemon and, boss battles and Labyrinth Goblins, stuff like that. That's why I have the Sunder on there. If I'm going to want that, I'm going to want a Brawler's Favor. Here I had a Wicked Armor. She is susceptible to reflect and deflect. So I guess maybe in a normal game mode, you'd want to have a Wicked Armor on there somewhere. But Sunder and Brawler's Favor is great. I got a Pyre Mage on there. She's all attack. If you want a Gunslinger that's going to be used for general game mode use, maybe like for base defense, you'd probably want to go with a Sacred Light. A Sacred Light with like a Wicked Armor is fantastic. And she'll throw out copters and she'll take care of everybody. You'd probably want to have some accuracy on there through pet or trait. Don't be afraid of putting dodge on her either. It'll just make her a better, longer lasting defender. But when it comes to Gunny, you do have to keep in mind that she produces her own energy. If you put an Empower on her, you're wasting it. She doesn't need anything like that. She will auto-generate those copters without the use of any kind of energy gain in this game. So you have that great option to do a Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, or a Sunder Brawlers and not have to worry about Empower in any way. And Holy Conviction, and I have all attack on her for Archdemon. Pets. Well, I'm going to be running her in Archdemon, so I would always have something like a Punching Box or a Chick-a-Boom or Brave Croc, or gosh, it depends on which Archdemon. Some kind of attack-oriented pet. If you're running her for like a base defense, I would go with something that's going to increase her dodge, going to increase her health, going to give her reflect and deflect like a Cold Drake, going to give her healing like a mini Angie or a Rudolph. Those are great pets to have. Gunny's a hero whose use and utility is starting to wane in Castle Clash, but in the one or two things that she is used for, nobody can touch her. She has the highest, I'll call it attacks per second in this game, because they're not necessarily hitting, but she is engaged in an attack, and with all her little copters, it's like multiple heroes attacking at once. Zeph. Woo, that dragon. Zeph is, the ultimate dragon in Castle Clash. He's one of our absolute top heroes. He does true damage that cuts through damage reduction. He does global damage that hits multiple heroes at once. He throws out a whirlwind that does some real massive damage. He is a hero where if you want him to do more damage in combat, you have that sword, you have to get that number up. Putting a Unholy Pact on him is only going to increase, or a War God, it's only going to increase the damage that his whirlwind does. But the higher that sword at the top, that right now 60 plus thousand, the higher that number, the more damage he's going to do in combat globally. And that's really what you use him for. And it's that amazing skill proc. It's not really his whirlwind. You can also increase his damage dealing capability by giving him Vigorous Fury and a Brute Force. He'll crit and he'll provide extra damage when those strikes do occur. But traditional attack boosting talents and insignias will only affect his whirlwind. And that's just the smallest part of his skill description. So you're looking at that big number at the top, get that up, or go the route of doing critical damage and extra critical damage in combat through Vigorous and Brute Force. He has a damage cap. I have a Flame Guard on him. It will lower his damage cap by 55%. So, typically he's going to be taking 36,000 damage. So, he's going to be taking like 16,000 something, 16,800 off the top of my head every time he gets hit. Well, I've now effectively doubled his life, giving him effectively twice the life that he had before. In addition, he's going to be deflecting damage. Now, the question comes up often in this game. If a hero who has a damage cap has Flame Guard, they're not going to be deflecting much damage. That is correct, and that's fine. All the heroes in this game die off pretty easy. They're pretty easy to kill. The hard ones are the 3 that have a damage cap, that have a permanent damage cap, and that's really only 2, Zeph and Dove. they can only take a certain amount of damage. So when my Zeph gets hit, he'll put back, 30,000 damage or 18,000 damage. And that's enough to reach the damage cap of the hero who's attacking him. Flame Guard is not designed to put out damage against normal heroes. It's designed to put out reflect damage against damage capped heroes. It'll reach their max damage and it'll kill them off. If you want to look at it philosophically, it's like two attacks. The attack that Zeph's doing, the attack he's getting hit with, that's now rebounding and bouncing back at the attacker, reaching that damage cap on a Zeph or a Dove. It's an amazing way to just liquidate Zephs and Doves in this game. I gotta be honest about Zeph's talents. I change these all the time. Zeph is a multiple utility hero. I've run Flame Guard, I've run Soul Healer, I've run Empower. What a wonderful auto proc hero he is. Global auto proc, fantastic base defender. By running Empower as his talent, I can then put a Vigorous Fury. I can then put I can even put damage reduction on him because somebody like a Bloody Mary or a Valiant Saintess can kill him off. So now I can put a little Sacred Light on him. It's not something I would ever use as a talent, though. Be able to swap it in and out as an insignia. There's just so many different... A Fiery Comet has been fantastic on this guy. There's probably a dozen different ones to choose from that all help him tremendously. My second talent on him is Asunder, which is another one that does a great job. If you're running Lonely Sea or Lava Isle, give him the extra DPS. That's terrific. The reason I always keep this one is because Asunder for me is so hard to roll. And then the Flame Guard one, I'll change around based on my need or how things have changed in the game. It's not something I do often, but right now I'm doing this. Maybe in a month from now I'll go back to Empower and then try a whole bunch of different things. So a hero that has many different setups, but based on your play style and how you want to use him, that's going to dictate what your choices are. For equipment, I'm running a Spectre's Instinct and I'm having a great time with it. I think it works wonderfully. But there's probably like 10 different enchantments you could put on this man. And they're all going to be doing a great job. That's one of the beautiful things about Zeph. But keep in mind, attack-based enchantments are only going to be helping that whirlwind. Whereas critical rate, like a Punishing Smite, it's going to be that whole global proc. For equipment, or for traits, I have all accuracy. I don't think any variance in that. When it comes to Zeph, you want him to hit. You want him to be accurate. Without that, there's nothing he's doing. He's dancing around. So give him all accuracy. Pets, I almost always run Brave Croc on him. I like how Brave Croc matches up with him. I like the ability that Brave Croc seems to enhance when it comes to Zeph. I guess it depends on the traits you put on your particular pets. But I found that Brave Croc is a really nice pet to put on a guy. And if you're having any kind of problems with his healing ability, and that can happen when he's fighting little damage capped heroes and not gaining a lot of health, give him a healing pet. Zeph is an essential hero in this game. A real game changer, made a big impact on the game, and is currently still sitting up there as one of our best. Valen's kind of like Cinder Matron. Does a whole bunch of damage. And it's all kind of critical and crit damage related. So I gave him also a Vigorous Fury. I've never run him any other way. Just like Cinder Matron, Vigorous Fury, Brute Force traits are all crit and allow them to actually perform the function that they're designed to perform. I would not put Valen up there as a really good hero. Doesn't really survive too long. I know that may sound shocking to some, but when you're taking on a 2.2 something million might base and you put Valen out there, the man turns to dust and smoke the moment he drops out on the board. Okay, so maybe at a different might level, yeah, he's clearing bases, but up against the top tier heroes that are all auto-procking globally, it's not going to work. So little niche game modes here or there. He's not a hero you have to chase after. I gave him a Holy Conviction, and again, all crit to make use of his skill process. So, kind of the basics on this. Just try to keep the man alive. For pet, I would probably give him something that provides healing. And if your accuracy level isn't high enough, put a pet on there that provides an accuracy boost if you've placed accuracy traits on that particular pet. That will vary from player to player. You do not have a pet that provides an accuracy boost yet. So it depends on traits and how you decide to run with it. Cosmo. Cosmo is an amazing hero. She'll solo most dungeons. She can solo most bases. I have her built in and I've changed these talents a couple of times. I have a Sacred Light. She lasts a super, super long time. Probably longer than the Revive. But I like to have the Revive on there, and then I'll run like a Sacred Light. Or I'll do Sacred Light with like a True Piety. Depends on what's happening. If it's a dungeon, a Sacred Light and a Survival, or a Sacred Light and a True Piety, a Sacred Light, a Wicked Armor, and she'll be just fine. If it's like a human base, I like having the ability to come back. So I'll do the Revive, Sacred Light, Revive, and a Wicked Armor, Revive, True Piety. Any of those are fine. I want to be really clear about Cosmo because there's a bit of a confusion about her skill ability. She doesn't have to be attacked. She doesn't have to be... let me rephrase that. She doesn't have to be hit. All she has to do is be targeted by the enemy. So the enemy has to say, let me go attack Commodora. And then when they start doing that, she'll start dropping anchors. She does not have to be hit. Just like Sasquatch in this game. She'll activate her skill without actually taking any damage. Every one of the targets would be attacks from the enemy. Every one of those can be a dodge above her head. And it'll still have her drop anchor. So I figured out, I don't know how many months ago, but I went all Holy Conviction on her and all dodge. She didn't actually have to get hit. So why have her get hit? And in dungeons, she becomes basically immortal. And she destroys pretty much everything. She won't cover the entire board. She'll cover about, 65% of the board. And then you throw in one or two other heroes, and you've got a 3-flame on every dungeon in the game. So Cosmo's great. She's also great for like Guild Wars if you want to do, base attacks and do building damage. So give her dodge. And give her some Holy Conviction to keep her alive. Give her the ability to come back from the dead, to suppress damage through Sacred Light. Maybe a little Wicked Armor, some True Piety, stuff like that. She should be fine. You can put Drogo Pet on her. That will help to add to her Reflect. It won't zero her out as well as some of the other heroes that I've mentioned. But it certainly will help her. I find that typically a Rudolph does a great job. And helps to give her the heal that she needs to actually stay in it for the full battle. So it's often my go-to pet. She's a great hero. A hero that's kind of like a mini Minotaur Chieftain. And has a lot of use in today's game for different game modes. Michael. Michael is a huge buffer booster. He provides a big attack and attack speed boost. He does that almost better than anybody in this game. I would say forget about everything else that Mike does. Forget about his deflect, all that garbage, okay? 3.5, 4 years ago when he came out, that was amazing. Now it's not. He's a buffer, a support hero. So I gave him Sacred Light. Forget about his deflect. I gave him Holy Conviction. Forget about deflect. I gave him all dodge. Forget about deflect. I want him to stay alive for 3 minutes. And give us a 70%. 84% attack and attack speed boost to 9 heroes for 8 out of 8 seconds. It will not stack like with Pumpkin Duke. It will reset after every 8 seconds, but you can be guaranteed that the whole time that your team is fighting, he's got that 84% boost that he's giving out to everybody. So that's what he does best. Make your heroes do best. Make them experts at what it is they do best. He's a buffer. He is a buffer who has a global auto proc. You can do a Sacred Light Empower everybody on your team. Base defense gets 84% boost at highest skill level. If I'm not doing pretty much, you know what? Pretty much all the time, I'm doing a Sacred Light and an Empower. And that's really about it. The Berserk that we had shown for just a second, that's for a Warden Challenge. Don't worry about that. So a Sacred Light and an Empower. And through head-to-head hero fighting, like in Lost Battlefield, you might say, hey, maybe you want to use a Revite and you like instantly skill activate. I found with Mike, with the Empower, in like 1 second, the man procs. And then gets the beauty of extra energy production, but more so 80% health increase. I would much rather he procs, then like start proc and give up all that extra health by choosing a Revite. So I find that an Empower practically serves the same purpose as a Revite for Mike and really does help to keep him alive a long time. And all dodge, Holy Conviction. For pets, I like to put Bublo on the guy because it gives him a big movement speed boost. You can put him in the back row of, say, your Lost Battlefield team or like your Narcia War Era team, Labyrinth team, any kind of head-to-head hero fighting. From the back, he'll just shoot forward. Auto proc, all of a sudden the whole team gets a boost. Everybody becomes a superhero killer, all jacked out, and they start just knocking people out. So a terrific, terrific hero. I would be so bold as to say probably second or third best buffer in the game. Pumpkin Duke being first. Miss Magic's pretty awesome in what she does. But Michael, he's a hero that really does make an impact and a difference. Experiment with him as a base defender. Put a Sacred Light and Empower on him. Run a couple of hero trials on Here Be Monsters and see what he does globally to make your whole team stronger. Ripper. He silences the enemy. He stops them from using their skill. He does a heck of a lot of damage. Like the 2 or 3 other heroes that I showed, he's one of those that I run an Empower and then a Wicked Armor. And that's pretty much it. I use him for base defense. I would not necessarily be using him for base attack. He doesn't have a really super high survivability rate. He does better sitting inside the interior of a base next to maybe a Walla and silencing people. So I do Empower and a Wicked Armor. I do a Holy Conviction. I do all dodge on the guy, straight dodge. And the way I'm using him, accuracy is not a problem, and he has a little asterisk to his skill that certain things cannot be dodged by the enemy anyway. So accuracy on a Ripper is not needed, just like Empower is not needed on a Gunslinger. So give the man all dodge, a little bit of damage reduction. You can do Sacred Light too. I found that's really, really nice with an Empower. Or Empower Wicked Armor, but be careful. Reflect and Deflect will kill him. I find Cold Drake for its Reflect and Deflect to be a great pet to use with this guy. That's pretty much the one that I use with him most often. If I'm running really advanced Here Be Monsters and I need to up his dodge even more, I'll do like a Mutant Cute Kitsune. He's at 14.3 dodge with like a Q Kitsune. He'd be maybe like 21, 22,000 dodge, which is more than enough for him to stay alive in most game modes. A hero that does a really nice job, a great defender in the game of Castle Clash, and somebody who does something that the other heroes really can. He's an essential hero in today's game. Asura is the Deflect Master. He is a guy who you can run him one of 2 ways. You can use him just for pure deflect. If I were going to do that, I would do something like a Vital Boon, a Tenacity, a Soul Healer, something that's just there to increase health. and no damage reduction. And this way, he will send back all of that damage against the enemy. I run my Asura a little bit kind of like a hero killing attacker. So he's got to have a little bit of damage reduction. With that damage reduction, he's able to stay alive a little bit longer at the cost of some deflect. There's no deflect reduction when you use a Vigorous Fury. And this way I'm keeping the deflect pure, but I'm also giving him the ability to perform critical strikes in combat. Either one of these are really great. You might want to... Now I have the Vigorous Fury with the Sacred Light. You might want to ask yourself where you want to fall with your Asura. Pure deflect by just giving him extra health and things, or a little sacrifice of deflect by giving him some damage reduction. Now you can work a Holy Conviction in there as well. You could do a healing ritual if you just want to keep the deflect pure. You definitely don't want dodge on this guy no matter what you do. Just give him accuracy or health, and he will be a better, longer living Asura. Accuracy or health. You can do Drogo Pet on him, and he will have the same effect as like a Phobos. It'll be amazing. And like a Wordless Zealot. The guy will essentially be zeroing out of damage under most circumstances. So a great, great way. Some people use Asura these days as a suicide troop. They'll put a Vigorous Fury or a Vital Boon or a Tenacity on him. Combo of those. A healing ritual. And they send him out there with maybe like a Drogo. And they'll send him towards a base. And he'll kill off a couple of heroes. Not through his own attack, but through the reflect and deflect that he sends back at the enemy. Dove. Dove is, probably one of the best attackers in the game. Probably the best attacker in terms of her capability to perform a one-strike kill. I've got her set up the same way as I do my Zeph. Sunder is hard for me to roll, but I want to keep advantage of her ability to put out massive DPS in certain game modes. The other one I change frequently. Right now, I'm lowering her damage cap by 55%, effectively doubling her life. I'm sending enough damage back at attackers that it's good against other Zephs and Doves. And it'll kill them off twice as quick if I didn't have the Flame Guard. You can use a Fiery Comet. You can use you can use 15 different. You can do Vigorous Fury Brute Force if you decide to run crit traits on her. You can use her in so many different ways. You can do an Unholy Pact and provide punishing, brutal damage. You can do a Wicked Armor. She can one-shot herself by hitting a Bloody Mary who has a Flame Guard or any kind of deflect capability. She'll hit the Mary for 25 million, and she'll take 20% of that back depending on how it's run. Well, that's enough to kill her off. So Wicked Armor will prevent that. These things I would use as insignias. But yeah, I was running her with Fiery Comet and all this kind of stuff before, and she was doing great. I just switched back to Flame Guard for a particular game mode that I'm trying right now. So there's probably half a dozen different ways to run your Dove. I think enchantment-wise, again, there's a half a dozen different ways to do it. I think Malaise really comes in important, is a really important thing to use on a Dove, because you don't want the damage that she's doing to get undone through a quick heal from the enemy. I think that a Spectre's Instinct is a great option to use. You could do a healing ritual. You could do a variety of things you could do. Right now I have a Malaise. I think the best Dove is an Accuracy Dove, because without that she's not hitting. I have all attack. I can add accuracy by using a particular pet. I just wanted a Dove that did the most damage. But I think accuracy is probably a wiser choice, wiser option. For your Dove, I would stay away from dodge. And I would stay away from stuff like health. To make a dodge Dove is like making a rubber jackhammer. Okay, it looks like a jackhammer, but it's not going to perform. She's a hero killer. Give her accuracy. And if you go crit and crit damage, do that with talent and insignia, because without accuracy, none of that would matter anyway. She is a hero that does very well with a Rudolph, does very well with a Fennec, does very well with a Sage Lioness, does very well with a Cold Drake, does very well with a Brave Croc, does very well with a Chickaboom, does very in DPS modes, very well with a Punching Box. She's a hero that has a lot of different ways to run her, no right or wrong. But keep in mind that she is a hero killer. And if you want somebody to carry your Doom Balloon to do base damage, do that with Rambard, not with Dove. So go with accuracy and allow her to hit and actually kill off heroes. Oh, old man Nubbins. Anubis. Anubis hits 100 heroes at a time. He's an amazing auto proc hero. I would go Empower, Wicked Armor, or Sacred Light, Empower, or if you're doing head-to-head hero fighting and you want to use Anubis, then Sacred Light, Wicked Armor. Any of these are good. But you got to have the Empower on there if you want him as a base defender who auto procs. For his enchantment, I think that a case could be made that Holy Conviction is going to help keep him alive. He can take real damage, and it kills him off real quick in today's game. You could also use a Hyper Strength to get his damage dealing capability up. For his traits, you're going to go all accuracy or all attack. Without accuracy, he's not hitting. And without attack, he's not doing enough damage that it's actually hurting today's top heroes. So I would go with that, Wicked Armor, Sacred Light, Empower, Wicked Armor, and then give him some extra attack through enchantment like a Hyper Strength or through traits. Make sure to give him enough accuracy as well that he's actually able to hit the enemy. For pets, I think that Punching Box is a great pet to use for him. It's going to boost his attack to such a degree that he can one-shot some of the heroes today, even those with damage reduction. So he's a hero that still is very, very, very effective, and a hero that does do an amazing job, especially in dungeons, and still plays a good role in base defense in Castle Clash. Cosmo. Cosmo is a hero that paralyzes everybody inside of a bubble. Does damage to them over time, repeated rapid fire damage. He, like about 3 or 4 of the other heroes that I've looked at, he survives better with an Empower and a Wicked Armor than he does with like a Sacred Light. That would be probably my second choice. But an Empower, Wicked Armor, he will be able to go for the full base defense. I would not call him an attacker. I would call him a base defender. And if you're looking to do the kind of damage that he does through an attack, use a Commodora. She'll do 10 times the base damage. Use him as a base defender. Empower, Wicked Armor, a Sacred Light, Empower. Empower, Sacred Light. But keep in mind that Reflect and Deflect will kill him, so you got to get a Wicked Armor in there somewhere. So I find that this particular combo to be the longest lasting Cosmo. I have a Holy Conviction for much needed damage reduction, and he is all accuracy. I used to have all attack on the man back in the day when we used to use him in Archdemon, but we haven't used him in Archdemon in months and months. I don't think he's coming back to that. So I went over with 2 accuracy. And you know what? He performs fantastically. And he will kill heroes now because he's actually hitting them. So if you want a good general game mode Cosmo, I would go all accuracy. I think it's really the only choice. Anything else kind of betrays what it is he's designed to do. So, and in pet, you could do Drogo, you could do healing pets, Fennec pet, mini Angie. You want to up his attack, pick a pet that you've put attack on. If you want just a natural boost in attack, you could go with something like a Croc or a Bellicose Bull. They'll provide an attack as well. You could up his dodge with a Kitsune, lower the dodge of the enemy in the nearby area with a Battle Monkey. There's a lot of different ways that you can run him. Just make sure he's staying alive. I would go with something that does provide some healing. A good mini Angio on the man goes a long way. Please keep in mind the old school pets are still very, very viable in today's game. Rosaleen, she is a great hero. She's very much like a wordless zealot. She's like a hero unto herself. She's like an island unto herself. She attacks herself. She doesn't help anybody around her. She heals herself. That's not so great in Castle Clash. It's a team-oriented game. So she's a good solo kind of hero, but she's not going to really make your team all that much stronger. A Sacred Light's wonderful. Wicked Armor is wonderful. I do those combination of those two, like Sacred Light, Wicked Armor. And that's pretty much all I do. And she doesn't die. Stays alive. Doesn't eat, reflect, and deflect. Doesn't kill herself because she can put out a lot of damage. A Holy Conviction and all accuracy. Without that, she's just a fireworks show. She's got to have accuracy. Pet. I think any kind of healing pet is great. I think, like your Drogo, your punching box, your... if you want to give her some heals, I think a Fennec or a Rudolph. If you want to mess with the enemy, maybe a Cold Drake and you start to freeze people up. If you want to have them take more damage, maybe a Bellicose Bull. If you want extra attacks from the pet itself, maybe a Brave Croc. A lot of different ways to run Rosa. Just make sure you got a Wicked Armor on there and a little bit of damage reduction. Plant Warrior. Take a look at this man's talent. Okay, so neither one of these talents I would recommend for Plant Warrior. Plant Warrior is a hero that I've struggled to use in this game. I think he's probably one of the least essential heroes. I've never really personally found a good use for the guy. If you're going to use him, do a Sacred Light. Do I don't know, maybe like a Soul Healer or an Empower or a Flame Guard or something to keep him alive, okay? None of these builds, this is my never-ending quest to find anything to do with Plant Warrior other than guard my altar. So Plant Warrior is not necessarily one I would be chasing after. I have a Holy Conviction and I have all dodge on the man because he's a support hero. He's designed to heal the team. He doesn't do a very good job of that. He also gives them an opportunity to provide an extra attack. He doesn't do a very good job at that. So, not a hero I would chase after by any means. But if you're going to, give him a dodge, give him a Holy Conviction, give him a Sacred Light, and give him some other form of damage reduction or mitigation, even a Wicked Armor. That's perfectly fine. And hopefully get some use out of him. I have found very, very little good utility out of Plant Warrior in this game. Rowdy. Rowdy is a single hero that can produce 2 little spawns that help. And it provides, multiple heroes attacking. He's a good attacker. You'll find better in the game, and after a certain while, you'll stop using Rowdy. But if you want to use him in the game, he does serve some purpose, and he can be okay. Give him some damage reduction through like a Sacred Light. Give him a Wicked Armor. Give him a Holy Conviction. Give him accuracy. Without hitting, he's not doing anything. For pets, I would go a healing pet. Maybe you want to throw a Drogo on him for extra attack ability, as well as to add to his built-in reflect that he provides with one of his Rascals. Those are the little buddies that help fight alongside him. He's a hero that I don't use often. I think that there are heroes that provide the same kind of effect that he does and do so far, far better. And that is a sad tale, but that is the tale of Castle Clash. There's only so many colors in the rainbow, and once you've gone over one of those, you have to naturally make a hero that's at least somewhat reminiscent, like an older hero. But it's got to be better this time. And so older heroes start to become outdated. Rowdy's still hanging in there, but he isn't a hero that I would necessarily be chasing after. Mahatma is a high speed attacker. She is susceptible to reflect and deflect, so I have the wicked armor on there. Otherwise, I'm pretty much using a Sunder. That is to increase the attacks per second that she's able to generate. You can do a life drain on her, and that's all good and well. I think it would be better at maybe a lower might. At a certain point, there's no healing in this game that's going to help you. It then lends itself simply to damage reduction. You've got to have damage reduction. No healing is going to keep you alive when you get hit for 50 million. So I go pretty much wicked armor and a Sunder wicked armor, something like that. I think that she's great in game modes like Lava Isle. That's about it. That's really about it. Only and in Goblins in the Labyrinth. That's about the only time I'm using Mahatma. She has some Ember Army utility, but we're talking about some niche game modes. So general use, I don't use her much at all. For her enchantment, I have a Pyre Mage to give her an extra helper in combat, help to get those attacks per second up. I have all attack on her to give her as much damage as possible. Because I'm using her in player versus computer game modes, I'm not worried about giving her accuracy. If I were using her against other heroes that were built by human beings, I would give her accuracy. So, heroes that have dodge require an enemy with accuracy. My enemy is just the computer when I use Mahatma, and they tend to have pretty low dodge. So I can give her attack, and she does just fine. She's a hero that can really nuke the enemy, and she's still good for that. So, run her in your Lava Isle, and you'll see you cut 3-4 seconds off the time. Run her against goblins, and you'll see the same kind of thing. For pets, I think a Chickaboom is great. Kind of really pairs well with her rapid fire machine gun effect. A punching box. You could do like a Draco. You could do some of the old school pets that provide rapid fire attack. Really, really nice. Mahatma is still a hero that's hanging in there and doing well in Castle Clash. Lava. Lava is a dragon from 2 years ago. Lava is a hero that does a good job in staying alive. Does a good job attacking and paralyzing. He has a damage cap, but it's not permanent, and it does go away. During that time, he can get killed off pretty quickly. I would definitely go with a Sacred Light, or a Flame Guard, or a Soul Healer. Something that's going to get his damage reduction and his health up. Also, he is susceptible to reflect and deflect. So think about a Wicked Armor. I think a Sacred Light Wicked Armor, a Flame Guard Sacred Light, a Sacred Light Flame Guard, a Soul Healer Sacred Light, any of these kinds paired up with one another are really, really great. You can run a Spectre's Instinct on the guy. You can run a Malaise on the guy. Right now I'm trying to up his attack with a Hyper Strength. You can run a Holy Conviction. That's probably his best choice. He gets a natural dodge boost. I used to have a Lava that was all attack when we used to run him in Archdemon. We don't run him in Archdemon anymore, so I changed him all to dodge. He survives a lot longer, and I get better utility out of him. I think dodge really is the best way to go, but keep in mind, without accuracy, he's not going to be hitting anybody. So if you do go with the full dodge build, make sure to put a pen on him that provides an accuracy boost. If you choose to go with accuracy, make sure to give him some dodge through the use of a pet that you've decided to put dodge traits on. As far as Lava goes, I don't think he's an essential hero. I think he's a top hero, but he's not a hero that's a game changer. And as we continue to move forward in Castle Clash, he's going to have less and less utility. If you don't have him, don't sweat it. And I think in today's game, a 1,400 gem accumulation bonus will get you a Zephyrica. Okay, so I would go with Zeph and then with your Lava. But Lava still has a great deal of purpose when it comes to certain game modes, and it's still a very high attack speed. For pets, give him something it's going to give him some healing. Maybe a Rudolph is always great. If you want to up certain traits or abilities, you'd want to vary those by the mutant pet that you've chosen to put those traits or abilities on. And I think he does very well with like a Cold Drake naturally, as well as a Kitsune to get his dodge up. Professor Ribbit. Ribbit, give him a Sacred Light. Give her a Sacred Light, a Wicked Armor, a Holy Conviction, and all accuracy. It's the only build I've ever come up with on Professor Ribbit that's actually kept Ribbit alive and useful in this game. Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, Holy Conviction, all accuracy. Give a healing pet or a pet that adds Reflect, Deflect, like a Cold Drake. There will be times that Professor Ribbit goes invulnerable and is doing some area damage, but as soon as that invulnerability goes away, Ribbit's dead. Ribbit is not a hero that you need to chase after in any way. She doesn't perform any kind of purpose or use in this game that makes her necessary or essential. So, basic kind of build, a little bit of damage reduction, a little bit of damage deflect negation through Wicked Armor, accuracy to hit, healing pet, or deflection pet. Storm Eater. Storm Eater is still the man when it comes to doing attacks per second. I think he's like maybe number 6th highest attacks per second hero in the game currently, approximately. You want to give him probably a Sunder to accentuate that, a Wicked Armor because you can eat Reflect and Deflect. I usually do a Wicked Armor Sunder, or that's basically what I do, a Wicked Armor and a Sunder, and he does an awesome job. Revitalize will allow him to activate his skill immediately. Our heroes often gain so much energy and so quickly these days, and with the helps of pets and other heroes, that Revite becomes less and less important. But if you want instant skill activation, definitely do a Revite Insignia, and he'll clear a couple of heroes. I don't use him against human-created heroes. So I have him all attack, because I only use him against the computer. If I were using Swarm Eater to hurt heroes that human beings have built, I would want to give him accuracy, because that means those heroes will have dodge. Problem is, if I'm using Storm Eater to attack heroes that human beings have built, then I've long since discovered that Storm Eater isn't the hero for that. So I would just use Storm Eater in computer-based modes. Great for high DPS, great for clearing out bad guys, bosses, goblins, all this kind of stuff. Not a hero that has gotten as high in his attack ability for an Archdemon game mode, no. But something like an Ember Army or Labyrinth Goblins, boss battles, these are all fine. For pets, you want to give them some kind of an attack pet. Great Chickaboom or a Punching Box, or one of the newer mutant pets if you have specific traits that you want to imbue him with that particular pet may have. Serena. Serena brings people back from the dead, but not as well as Tree. She's not going to do everybody all at once. She'll do them in like 2-3 rounds of skill activations. She'll heal. She gives 100% attack boost to a hero. That's pretty great. She's a hero that also does damage to 6 enemy units globally. She's one of those heroes that I use less and less in today's game, but I do use her in Lava Isle. I find that she gives that great revive when people in lava need it. She gives a nice heal when those in lava need it. And she's hitting all the bad guys around the board consistently and constantly with every skill activation. So she does a real nice job there. She's a hero that I typically would run as a... Here I have her set up for an auto proc. She will not revive heroes through auto proc in a base defense mode, but she'll still give the 100% attack boost and the healing. There I'd go with a Wicked Armor. So kind of running like those 4 or 5 others that we've looked at that have that same kind of setup. If not, Flame Guard or a Sacred Light. I think probably Sacred Light would be the better choice. Sacred Light and an Empower, Sacred Light and a Wicked Armor. And that's going to help to keep the Reflect and Deflect down. I think probably Sacred Light, Wicked Armor for attacks, and Empower, Wicked Armor for base defense. I have a Holy Conviction, and I have all dodge. I'm much more interested in her ability to revive the team, to heal us, and to provide 100% attack boost to a hero than her ability to every once in a while hit one of the bad guys. So, a hero that does a nice job, give her a healing pet. Or maybe you can give her like a Drogo if you wanted to do that. Get her attack up. Give her a little bit of reflect. But something like a mini Angie or a Fennec going to do a really nice job. Espirita is like a mini Anubis. She'll do damage to folks in dungeons and things like that. She's not really a hero that I would use against human opponents. I would use it just in computer-based game modes. She's not a hero that I use very often. I think that there are much better heroes that do what she does and do it at a much higher degree. A Sacred Light, a Wicked Armor, and that continuous pairing of a little bit of damage reduction and making sure that you don't get hit by a reflect that kills you. Holy Conviction, and all accuracy. She's designed to hit heroes, to hit bad guys. And without that, she isn't doing anything. Give her a healing pet. There can be times that a healing pet is going to be essential. She can get all locked up with all the conditions that happen in this game, and her own healing process is unable to function. It's during those times that you'll be glad that you have a pet that provides a heal and it keeps her alive. So, not a hero that's essential by any means, but still a decent hero, especially at the beginning parts of this game. Athene is a great buffer. She is a team player. She's going to give a big attack speed boost as well as an energy boost to everybody on the team. She's immune to silence. Flame Guard is an excellent choice. I will pretty much just run Flame Guard and an Empower. I use her in a base defense. She will make everybody on the board faster and give them a real big energy boost. Kind of like they are having an Empower. And she'll pass that on to them. So a Flame Guard Empower to make sure that she auto-procs. Again, I'm just using her really for base defense. Holy Conviction, all dodge. Nothing about what she does is necessary when it comes to accuracy. Giving these boosts and buffs to the team are not accuracy dependent. She's never going to be a hero killer, so forget attack. Just went with all dodge, keep her out of harm's way. And for a pet, I would definitely give her something that's going to help her in terms of keeping her alive. A healing pet, or a pet that gives a little bit of reflect, deflect, like Cold Drake does very, very well. Athene, I think like Mike, is a top tier buffer and a go-to hero when you need that. But if you don't need that, then it's a hero you're not going to use too often. You will typically find my Athene in Totem, along with Mike sometimes, and along with Pumpkin Duke sometimes. Those three heroes, along with Cupid, will provide a boost to every hero on the board globally, and they are probably the best heroes to be using in Totem. They will help your whole team, and they will do so for many, many seconds during battle. Warlock, he gives a deflect to 4 allied heroes. I have him set up, kind of like my Boreal Fox or my Cosmo. And that is an Empower with a Wicked Armor. And that's my go-to. I find that he survives much better than he would with a Sacred Light or a Flame Guard. But that's also a viable option as well. You could do a Sacred Light and an Empower. But I really like the Empower Wicked Armor combo. A little bit of Holy Conviction to help to keep him alive, give him a little bit of damage reduction, even if it comes at the cost of a little bit of his deflect. I'm not worried about his deflect. I'm concerned that he gives 4 allied heroes 65% deflect every time he activates his skill. I want to make sure he's alive to do that. I have him with all dodge. Everything else he does, I'm not worried about. I just want him to give deflect to the other members of the team. There was a time when like a high attack or like a War God Warlock would one-shot everybody. Those days are done. Okay, this is a hero that's now probably 4 years old, 3 years old. So I would probably, with a pet, I would give him a pet that provides some heals. He doesn't have that. Give him the ability to heal. Maybe a Rudolph would probably be the best. Provides really nice heal to the team and helps to dispel negative conditions that have befallen the man in combat. Sass, just like Cosmo, does a whole bunch of damage, but he doesn't actually have to be hit. He just has to be targeted. So the bad guy just says, there's Sass, let's go attack him. And he can dodge every single hit. It can be dodge above his head. And he will still be smashing and thrashing and freezing and blasting everybody. So he's one of those heroes, and there aren't many. I would probably go with, if you want to use him in a computer game mode, a Blade Dance is really nice to get his dodge up, or a Flame Guard, Sacred Light, Flame Guard, Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, Flame Guard, Wicked Armor, Sacred Light. It's all those same talents and insignias back and forth. I have a Holy Conviction, and I have all dodge on the man, like Commodora. All the dodge I can put on him makes him invulnerable in basically every game mode, except against human opponents who have really, really super high accuracy. But in a dungeon scenario, he'll tear through it solo. And can do so without ever getting hit. So real high dodge on this man. Give him some damage deflect or damage reduction. Give him some Holy Conviction. Give him a pet that's going to provide a little extra healing process in case he needs it. And you'll have a Sass that does a lot of smashing and bashing. He's not a hero I use often. There are heroes that do a much better job. That do greater area damage. That have a higher survivability rate. Why would I use a Sasquatch that does 6% base damage when I have a Laz that does 36% base damage per skill activation? So that, again, that is something that does happen with this game. But early parts of the game, Sass can be a real friend. Creation is one of the best hero killers in the game. Like a couple of those heroes, I am running him with Empower and Wicked Armor. I'm only using him for really base defense, and I know that it is absolutely essential that there's Wicked Armor on him, or he's going to die reflect and deflect. So I've got to have those two. If I'm going to use him in attacking, I do Sacred Light, Wicked Armor. So right up front in somebody's face, Sacred Light, Wicked Armor. Sitting on a base, auto-procking and killing people when they come in the board, Empower, Wicked Armor. I have a Spectre's Instinct on him right now, and I think it does a really nice job. He comatizes, and Spectre's kind of shuts people down. It works very, very well. If you're having problems keeping your creation alive, give him a Holy Conviction. Okay, that'll be fine. I have him with all accuracy. Without accuracy, he's just putting out fireworks. He's just an ugly dude with some bolts in his brains. So give him accuracy and allow him to actually stay alive. Drogo's great, too, for pets. A healing pet, any of the great mutant pets that we have, all dependent on the traits that you chose for your pet. If you want to give him a little extra dodge through a cute Sunny, that's great. Lower the dodge of the enemy through a battle monkey, that's terrific too. Creation, he is a viable hero in today's game. He is a hero that I think is very, very useful. He does damage over time, and he's great at killing heroes that have damage caps because he's able to sustain that damage over time, and cumulatively, the hero will eventually die off. Buddy Tree. Tree Antar is the only hero in this game that can revive your whole team, and just do so, boom, just like that. At highest skill level, he is reviving 6 heroes at 100% health. I gave him the ability to revive because I think that it's essential for the guy. He can get killed when you drop him out on the board. Let him come back so he can bring back the rest of your team. If you're running him in a general game mode use and you want him to stay alive through some damage reduction, Sacred Light's your key. So Sacred Light with a revive with a Sacred Light. If you want him to activate his skill immediately and your whole team comes back, you've got to give him a Revitalize. So typically, if I were doing like a base attack kind of Guild Wars thing, and I want to bring the heroes back, I would do a revive with a Revite. Drop him out on the board. Even if he gets blasted, he'll come back. Oh, he got killed again. He comes back. Skill activates. He's going to activate his skill immediately. So you just have to make sure that he survives for like a microsecond. And he's good to bring back your team. I have all dodge on the man. And all holy conviction to keep him alive. Pet. The way I use him, and that's bringing back heroes from the dead in a base attack scenario, I would always put Fennec Pet on him. Fennec Pet stops a negative condition from happening to the hero that's using it. Whereas Rudolph takes away a negative condition from the hero that's using it. So when you drop this guy out, it'll prevent something bad about to happen to him, allowing him to get that microsecond and get the team back into action. Get that Revite activated. So I would pretty much always run Fennec on the guy. I've never had my tree fail as long as I have Fennec on there. And a Revite and a Revive. You can use him as an Empower auto proc hero. I would do the Sacred Light, and then I would have an Empower insignia on the guy. Put him on your base, or put him in like a Wailing Rift, or, Infernal Summit kind of thing. He will not bring back any heroes from the dead. No Reviver will in a defensive game mode. But he will give your entire team a 80% damage reduction for 6 out of 6 seconds. So huge. It's like giving everybody a massive, Sacred Light level, a Sacred Light level 11 is what it's basically given everybody. So he's a very valuable auto proc hero if you find that your heroes are taking too much damage in this game. But he has basically no attack ability. So run that Fennec on and keep him free of conditions, and make sure you set him up for what kind of game mode and what kind of use you want to apply to tree. Rockno. Rockno is kind of like the pre-Rosaleen. Okay, like it's Alphamech, Rosaleen, Rockno. We'll get to Vlad in a little bit too. Rockno does area damage around him. He's designed to be a hero killer. I've given him some Sacred Light for damage reduction. You got to give him a Wicked Armor because he can eat and reflect and deflect. I gave him a Holy Conviction. I gave him all accuracy. Without that, he's not doing anything. Give him some kind of healing pet. He does have a little bit of healing process, but it's nothing that you can super rely upon. He is going to... Okay. When he transforms into a rhino, he's going to be healing. He's not healing the whole time, and it's nothing you can super rely on. I would make sure to give him some kind of a healing pet. A Rudolph and him do a great job. But you will find, like so many of our heroes, that if you've built him to this degree, you've already realized that there are heroes that do a much better job than he does. So just try to keep him alive with some Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, give him some accuracy, give him a healing pet, Holy Conviction, and get the best use out of him as you can in this game. Skelly. Skelly, about 5 heroes right now. I run the Empower. I run the Wicked Armor. I use him only for base defense. I use him only to auto proc under those conditions. I don't attack with Skelly. Skelly's too old a dragon. He would turn to dust immediately. He's against the computer. I do him in like a Wailing Rift. Even in that particular game mode, there are probably better heroes to choose. It's a hero that's really gotten outdated. But a Empower Wicked Armor, it does a real nice job, and you get a decent auto proc effect out of him on defense. Holy Conviction and all accuracy. He's designed to hit. A pet that provides a little bit of heal, I think, would go a very, very long way. Yes, Skelly gets invulnerability, but it's Castle Clash invulnerability. So he doesn't take any damage. Then all of a sudden he just falls off the cliff and gets nuclear blasted by everybody who's beaten on him. And he dies immediately. So if you're going to run him as an attacker in any way, do a Sacred Light Wicked Armor and give him some damage reduction. But if you're doing that, you've already then come to the realization that there are better heroes to be using in an attack scenario. So I really only run him with Empower Wicked Armor and use him as an auto proc hero every once in a while for fun in like a Wailing Rift. Grim Fiend. Grim Fiend's a hero that, has become pretty much outdated. I just have 2 fun builds on the man. Grim Fiend does a lot of attack speed. He has a high attack speed, does a lot of attacks. He would be okay with like a scatter. I had some fun with some Deadly Strike. I would probably go with like a Sacred Light, a Wicked Armor as probably his most logical build. Sacred Light, Wicked Armor. Give him a Holy Conviction. Give him all accuracy. He's designed to hit. Give him a pet that provides an extra heal in addition to his own healing process. If you've done so, then you would come to the realization that there are better heroes to use for those purposes. So Grim Fiend's just my having fun kind of hero. I throw on a Deadly Strike. I throw on a little bit of Wicked Armor. I send him out every once in a while to see how he does. Under great circumstances, yes, this actually will work. But under most circumstances, the hero is either damage capped, the game mode is either damage capped, or he doesn't have the accuracy rate to really provide consistent Deadly Strike attacks. He's a hero that's gone past his time. For nostalgia value, I revisit him, but he's not a hero that's essential by any means. Give him a healing pet if I haven't mentioned that already. Get that heal up. Revenant. Revenant is a hero that gives a little heal, a little stun, a little attack. That's about it. He really has no great or grand purpose in this game. I've always struggled to find a consistent and valuable use for the man. Because of this, I do a Sacred Light just to keep him alive. I do a Wicked Armor. I do all accuracy. I do a Holy Conviction. I give him a healing pet. And I hope that he's just going to stay alive. There's a little bit of use for him perhaps in a Warden challenge. But other than that, your Revenant's pretty much going to be gathering dust. I don't see anybody who has access to the majority of heroes choosing Revenant over one of those other heroes. And if you are, it's really just to have some fun and to put a Revenant out there on the base so people say, hey, all right. So that's really about it. Not a hero that is essential by any means. Not a hero that you have to chase after in this game. Okay, our next hero is Ronan. Ronan is going to be going elusive. It's like stealth. He can't get targeted, he can't get hit, unless the hero has the ability to cut through stealth or into stealth. Creation can cut into stealth, and something like a Fiery Comet can cut through stealth. There's a lot of different ways to build your Ronan. Typically, Ronan today is used to do base damage. I really find that a revive Ronan, giving him extra lives, as well as the ability to heal while he's elusive and to provide invulnerability, it really does provide the best, longest living Ronan. You could also do a True Piety, and you could do a Sacred Light, and that will cause a Ronan who mitigates damage to such a degree that it actually becomes healing. He can get taken out pretty quick, though, under certain circumstances. I find this build to be the most reliable build. I do a Holy Conviction and straight dodge on the guy. There's no reason for him to be hit. If you're going to be going for base damage with a Ronan, I would put a pet on him, like Hair Force 1. Hair Force 1 is going to be dropping these eggs that do base damage all around the board. There's a better hero to use for this, and that would be Rambard with a Doom Balloon. But if you don't have a Rambard, put Doom Balloon then on Ronan. And Ronan will cumulatively do enough base damage that you can almost 100%, if not 100%, any base in today's game with just a Ronan with this build. Heartbreaker. Heartbreaker is being used primarily in the game mode of Archdemon. And Archdemon is going to provide a Sunder, Brawler's Favor, dictated build to get her attacks per second up, her DPS, give her the possibility to provide multiple attacks in combat. She lowers the attack of the enemy. She has a pretty good solo 1 versus 1 attack per second rate. Not super high, but to help to cut down on some of the massive damage that today's archdemons do, we're often using Heartbreaker. I have her with a Pyre Mage, and I have her with all attack traits. Outside of this game mode of Archdemon, I don't really see too much of a usage for Heartbreaker. She's not a hero I would chase after. She's not necessary in today's game. For pets, I would be running, pets that cause damage over time, damage in combat. And that could be a Chickaboom, a Punching Box, Brave Croc, Cold Drake, Bellicose Bull, Sage Lioness, any of these that provide an attack as well as extra traits for our heroes, depending on how you set up the mutant and super pets. Heartbreaker, great for a specific game mode. Outside of that, not so much. Mectessa. Mectessa I'm using in, Warden Challenge. I might be using certain little labyrinth and boss battles just for fun. She doesn't serve a lot of purpose in today's game. She's just like a rapid fire hitter. If you've got a Mahatma, you would be using her far more often than a Mectessa. Mectessa, just like my Heartbreaker, I set her up with a Sunder and a Brawlers. It's going to be doing extra hits in battle. Anticipate the question from some, why is it Brawlers instead of one of the other ones? Wouldn't it matter which Warden you're fighting? That's true against heroes that have a Warden team. But in something like an Archdemon or one of our boss battles, they're all Warden neutral heroes. So it doesn't matter which color insignia you choose when it comes to one of these favors. You want to choose the one that provides the greatest attack boost. And the Brawlers you see has a plus 9,085 attack boost. And the others would be like, 8,300 and 7,800. So you're just choosing Brawlers because it's going to provide greater attack and boost up your hero's strength. But you're always using Sunder because it's going to provide extra hits and then an extra chance in addition to provide another series of hits that are based on the health of the enemy. For equipment, for her, I'm running a Burning Plate. This is more specific to Warden Challenge. You could get, like with Heartbreaker, greater attacks if you had a Pyre Mage. But this is working fine for her for what I use her for, which is the occasional Warden Challenge. I have all accuracy on her because for my purpose, I need her to hit with every one of her little punches. Whereas the opponents I'm taking on with Heartbreaker don't have a high dodge rate, and I don't have to really worry so much about accuracy. For pets, I would go again with the pets that cause attacks. And those are some of the old school pets, like Chickaboom being one of them, and any of the newer pets that actually have an attack component to them, and they're not just raising dodge or healing, but actually perform an attack in battle, like Dire Wolf, for example. Our friend Phantom King. Phantom King is like the best scatter hero in the game. Now, so many of our heroes are immune to energy reduction, and many of our bosses and uber goblins that we fight are immune to energy reduction. So that's not such an impact like it used to be. But something like Boss 5 and Boss 3, they're not immune to energy reduction. And so I put Scatter on him because it makes him by far the best scatter guy. His attacks per second are super fast, and he's taking out so much energy against these bad guys. If you want to run him in the dungeons, I also have a Sunder with him, and then I might pair it with a Scatter, and I get my boss scores up real high. If you want to run him in the dungeons, he has a natural dodge boost. On this particular Phantom King, I have all dodge, and I have a Holy Conviction. This way I can also run him in the dungeons. He doesn't take any damage. As long as your hero is able to get over 10,000 dodge, there's currently no dungeon in the game where the hero will be killed. Under most circumstances, you might get unlucky one day, but 10,000 dodge is really the cutoff. And in the new Forgotten Trials that they have released, it seems to be around 12,000 dodge is the cutoff. And after 12,000 dodge, you really start to decrease your likelihood of even getting hit. So this is a Phantom King that really doesn't get hit, that suppresses energy very, very well, that has high attacks per second. And I would probably put like a Chickaboom on him, or maybe like a Draco pet, one of the old school pets that does a lot of attacks per second, a little Havoc. That's a really great pet to put on him too. I don't use him often, but when I do use him, he is effective in those particular game modes. Santa Boom. Santa Boom is one of our old school heroes. He shoots off some rockets. Those rockets do hero and base damage. He is definitely susceptible to reflect and deflect in this game, and he has no damage reduction. So I do the Sacred Light, Wicked Armor combo, and that's it. Always Sacred Light and then a Wicked Armor. And he does okay. But if you're doing that, you'll find out that there are other heroes that can do 10 times what he does. So he's not a hero that you're going to be going to very often, if at all, after a certain point of hero collection in this game. I have a Holy Conviction on the man, and I have all accuracy, because if he's not hitting anything with high accuracy, then what's he doing? He's shooting off fireworks, nothing else. He's entertainment and not a hero killer. He's designed to actually hit stuff, so you need accuracy on the man. For a pet, I might run like a Drogo, get his attack up, give him a little bit of deflect to help keep him alive. I would give him a healing pet of some kind. He has no healing ability. You just want to stay away from everything on this man except a revive. You want to stay away from a revive. He has a built-in. You can use revive. You want to stay away from self-destruct. He has a built-in self-destruct. So after he self-destructs, you can revive him and he'll have another life, but he will not self-destruct a second time. Whereas Beserker, you can use a revive on Beserker. He'll come back at 100% health at highest revive level, still have his opportunities later to come back based on percentage chance, and he will self-destruct every time during that process. But this guy will only self-destruct once with a revive, and a second life he'll have no self-destruct. But I just always run Sacred Light, Wicked Armor. I think you would have replaced Santa Boom in most circumstances. But if you want to run a dodge Santa Boom, you can clear out every dungeon in this game like that. As long as you get his dodge above 10,000, he will nuke everybody. You see the second talent is a 9 survival. I haven't touched it in 6 months because I never run anything other than the Sacred Light, Wicked Armor. So I would go with that kind of a build and give him a pet that heals. Medusa, just like Heartbreaker, just like Mectessa, and a couple other ones that we're going to see. They do best in terms of their DPS, and they are fast attackers. They might hit multiple targets. You want to accentuate that ability by giving them a Sunder and a Brawlers. And outside of that, you're not really using them in any kind of game mode. So that's why I have these kinds of builds on heroes like this. I would only be using them to up my scores in damage cap game modes like boss battles, labyrinth goblins, etc. She is not at the level, though, of an archdemon hero. I've got her with a Pyre Mage, and I have her with all attack. So when she does attack, she reaches max score. Accuracy is not important because I'm using her in player versus computer game modes. And for pet, I would, just like with the Mectessa and the Heartbreaker, I would be using a high DPS pet, a pet that attacks as often as possible and causes enough damage that I'm going to reach max score in whatever game mode I happen to be doing. Medusa, a decent hero. She had a much greater utility and effect back in the day. And not a hero I would be chasing after, except maybe for collection or raising up certain Destiny screen purposes. Valentina, she's going to give energy to your team over time. Okay, and she also gives them a crit rate boost. She's a hero that isn't used much these days in Castle Clash. I found that a Flame Guard works very well. She was one of the first heroes that was immune to silence in this game. And a talent like Flame Guard can be taken away through silence or even through Spectre's Instinct. So you have to be careful which heroes you have it on and be careful how many heroes you have it on. But she seems to be doing okay with the Flame Guard. I would do Sacred Light other than that. She doesn't really put out too much damage, so something that could increase her health would be really nice. You could even run like a Soul Healer or a Silent Cover for extra damage reduction. I don't think in these days and in these game modes that we play that a Revite is as necessary today as it used to be, 4 or 5 years ago. If you go back now almost 7 years, if somebody had a Revitalize in Arena, that person would probably win. Now, a Revitalize in Arena and you've lost your talent or your insignia after 20 seconds and you end up getting killed. So it's not about instant skill activation today in Castle Clash. It's about surviving the longest. And that means damage reduction, damage mitigation, damage negation, damage... anything you can do to stay away from damage. So Val, I do a Sacred Light and then maybe like a Flame Guard, Sacred Light, and Holy Conviction, all dodge, because she's a support hero. And some kind of pet that's going to provide a healing process. She has no healing process. So give her a pet that's going to help her survive. Artica. Artica is a dragon, came out back in the day. An older dragon, performs very limited use in this game. He has a freeze. But if you've got a Boreal Fox, you would never think twice about using an Artica. You would never look at Artica again. If you've got a Cosmo, you wouldn't use an Artica. So I kind of just use him just for fun and nostalgic purposes, jaunts down memory lane. Got Sacred Light. There is the case to be made that a Revitalized Insignia will help you get a good head start in Lava 3 and 4. And it'll freeze up the bad guys right in front of you and help your team and others to get the business going. You could do a Sacred Light Wicked Armor if you want a good general build. And that's kind of how I've used them. A good general build is Sacred Light Wicked Armor. I got a Holy Conviction enchantment and all accuracy. If he's not hitting, he's not doing anything. And I give him a pet that provides heal. Typically like a Rudolph or maybe a Fennec. That would be really nice on the guy. Lil Nick. Lil Nick gives this freeze effect. It can be really punishing. It can stop heroes from moving and doing anything. And it can provide enough damage that it can actually kill off some heroes. That freeze effect is not his skill. It's like a passive action that takes place. It's called the Frostbite talent. Every 6 seconds, this Frostbite will drop down. No matter how you've set up your Lil Nick. That'll always be happening. The crit rate increase and the attack that he does is him in this form throwing these little projectiles. It's like his punching. Okay, so you can always rely on the freeze to be happening every 6 seconds. I give him a little bit of a crit boost through the Vigorous Fury. Now, he already gets a crit boost, but this is an older hero, and I want him to crit reliably. So I give him the Vigorous Fury. I give him a Brute Force. I gave him a Hyper Strength enchantment. And I gave him straight crit damage traits. And he ends up crit damaging now almost at 17,000. But that's before the Brute Force and stuff are applied. Okay, so when that ends up happening, the man will crit at 50, 80 million. Okay, and he'll do that and do so reliably against the computer, not against anybody's heroes on base. Lil Nick turns to dust the moment you put him out there. So I can make a video of this guy going against mindless beasts in the dungeons and, critting for 50 million, 30 million, 80 million and doing all this, but it's against bots. It's not against heroes that people have designed. Little Nick has seen his time in Castle Clash, and sadly is not a hero that I would really recommend, other than his ability to, at second one of battle, quickly freeze everybody. And maybe that has some utility in a lost battlefield, some utility maybe in a fortress feud scenario, but I gotta tell you, you'd have to be a pretty advanced player, and a player who's got maxed out heroes, where you're actually saying to yourself, let me put my little Nick in. And I'm looking right at a couple people already who probably do this. I've done this too, all right? Where you say, I'm going to put my little Nick in, or I'm going to put my Dread Drake in, and it's going to stun everybody up right at the second of battle. And then my Zephyrica and my Valiant Saintess and my Boreal Fox will come in and get them. Okay, so you've got to really have some top tier heroes in order to get this guy to be effective. If you're not at the point of every hero maxed out, put Little Nick way down on the list of priorities. He's not a priority hero. Give him Drogo. Get his attack up. Give him a little deflect. Keep him alive for an extra couple of seconds. Again, good hero against the computer, not necessarily good hero against other players. Skull Knight. Skull Knight, sadly, has kind of seen his day. He used to be the man. He used to be the ultimate base defender. He could whack one person, they disappear. For most parts, those days are done. Now I use Skull Knight specifically for one thing, and just like Mictessa, and just like Medusa, I use him for high attacks per second, as many attacks in a particular period of time as I possibly can. And I'm running with a Sunder and a Brawlers, and I'm not using him really in any other game mode. I'll throw him in just for fun, in a lava isle. I'll throw him in just for fun, a boss battle or against a particular goblin. He's not an archdemon hero. He's not reached that level. So it's really just walks down memory lane and trying to get good use out of his attacks per second. So a Sunder Brawlers, or a Sunder Wicked Armor if you see that he's getting killed from reflect and deflect. For equipment, I put Burning Plate on him, and it serves purpose in Warden Challenge, but I want to also make this one point. We have very few heroes in Castle Clash that give themselves this kind of attack boost. He gives himself an attack, increases Skull Knight's attack by 950%. Not does damage to the enemy for 950% of Skull Knight's attack, increases his own attack by 950%. That is directly linked to the attack damage produced by Burning Plate. So when Skull Knight gives himself this monstrous attack boost and becomes this beast, Burning Plate will also produce a massive level of damage. And it's one of those little things in the game that I think people should use if they're using a Skull Knight. Put Burning Plate on the guy, and he will liquefy everybody as long as his skill is activating. He does a real nice job with that. I put all attack on him. So if he's going to hit, I want him to hit for full amount, and I'm not using him against human opponents, just the computer. So accuracy is not really relevant. For pet, I would go some kind of damage dealing pet, like on Mictessa and Medusa, Chickaboom, a punching box. My gosh, this man with a punching box, this setup and Burning Plate, it's barbecue time, is what I'm saying. All right, let's move on. Pumpkin Duke. PD is absolutely essential. Okay, I know we just went through a whole bunch of heroes that have started to get outdated. PD, nobody can fill PD's place. If I'm starting Castle Clash again today, and I'm lucky enough to get a PD during the first couple weeks, boom, I'm prioritizing that hero, and that would probably be my number one. Get the PD up to at least the level where it lets the rest of my team do what they do in the 10, 15 game modes where PD is really impactful in this game. He is a buffer, makes your whole team better in so many different ways. But unlike the other buffers in this game, he does not suffer from a cooldown. His skill is able to activate. And while it's activating, he gets faster. And now he activates his skill even sooner than the first one. And now he gets even faster. And he's able to activate his skill even faster than the first and second one. That's stacking or adding on top of its skill. He will reach a max, and he will reach a speed cap where he's not able to get infinitely faster. But those initial, say, 3 stacks of skill is what's going to get him and your team to the max capability that they can under most circumstances in most game modes. This is the hero that you grab first if you're running Archdemon. This is the hero that you grab first if you're running Boss Battle. First, if you're running like a Lava Isle and you want to be helpful to the other 19 heroes that are out on the board, you got to have a Pumpkin Duke. First, if you're doing a Lonely Sea, you got to have Pumpkin Duke or Pumpkin Dukes represented to get the rest of the team hitting fast enough and hitting hard enough and moving around and doing their job fast enough to actually kill off some of these really, really hard game modes in Castle Clash. So totally essential hero. 2 builds on PD. There are many different ways to run the guy. But in terms of talent, I would go one of these 2. Regenerate is going to allow him to be a better Pumpkin Duke when he's hitting something. Empower is going to allow him to be a better Pumpkin Duke when he's not hitting something. So if I'm running an Archdemon battle and I know my Pumpkin Duke's going to be smacking against the Archdemon the entire time, I'm going to choose Regenerate. Better when I'm hitting something. If I'm using Pumpkin Duke in the dungeons, and let's say maybe he destroys a building and then he walks for 3 seconds and gets to the next building, and there's time that he's not touching anything, he's just walking around, I'm going to use Empower. And I'll get a better Pumpkin Duke under those circumstances. So make your choice based on how many hits he's going to be doing against like a stationary target. He's moving around in power, something standing there like a dunce, and he just keeps beating on it, definitely regen. You can run both through talent and insignia. That's fantastic too. Okay, you get best of both worlds. If you're going to be wanting really high scores, you would want a regen and then a sunder. And now you get all those extra hits in addition to all the extra great PD energy that's given through a regenerate. There's a specific enchantment called Hyper Strength. Yeah, it gives an attack boost, but we're using it for its ability to give Pumpkin Duke a better energy build process. And so now all of a sudden, with the extra energy gain that he gets from Regenerate, from Hyper Strength, now all of a sudden PD activates his skill. And he activates it again, and boy, it happened quick that second time. And now he's already at max. And we're starting to reduce the amount of time that it takes Pumpkin Duke to get to his max speed cap. That's what we're trying to do. And I understand that there's some details I left out and etc. for all Archdemon players out there. I'm going big picture here, baby. So I do all attack on the man to get his attack ability up, get his damage up. If I'm running him in Archdemon, I want him hitting for 500,000, the max amount, every time he hits. For pets, okay, you can run a whole bunch of different pets on this man. General game use, and you want him to stay alive, give him a pet with dodge, like Cute Kitsune. If you want him to have a little damage reduction, give him a pet that has some, like a mini Angie. Be wonderful. You want a little extra speed boost on the guy in terms of movement speed and a heal, give him a Bublo. If you're running really high DPS game modes, you want high scores. A Chickaboom, a Glacie, a Punching Box, a Lil Havoc, a Draco, any of these pets that have the ability to hit every second, every 2 seconds, every 3 seconds, and really rack up those scores. Pumpkin Duke, absolutely amazing hero, and one of the tried and true heroes at Castle Clash. We've nearly made it through, the vast majority of the heroes in the game, and he's one that still I go to every day. There's not a day without my Pumpkin Duke. Also, PD in Totem is going to give these boosts to the whole board full of your friendly heroes, and do so for several seconds. An amazing Totem hero. Vlad. Run Vlad just for fun. Vlad was replaced by Rockno and then replaced by Rosaleen, who was then replaced by Alphamech. He does damage in a sphere, a circumference around him, area damage. He gets a heal during that process. He inflicts fear. Fear never really took off in this game. I was waiting for fear to really become something, but unfortunately that never happened. There's not really many heroes where fear is any kind of an impact. I've never seen a hero really be afraid, especially of Vlad Dracula today. I give him a Sacred Light, extra health, damage reduction, helps him soak up those heals. I give him a Wicked Armor. It's like the standard build for an older hero. Reflect and Deflect will kill him. Give him a Wicked Armor. They need some damage reduction and some extra health to get their health pool up to where the other heroes are, and that's Sacred Light. So Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, a Holy Conviction, all accuracy. I would give him a healing pet like a Rudolph or a Fennec. I think that would be good. You need to give him a second healing process, because he's only healing when his skill's activating, and he takes a little while to charge up that energy. So he's a slow hero in that way. He used to be the king of HBM. Now he's like more of a Duke, okay? Not a Pumpkin Duke, but he's like a Duke, the Duke at HBM. Not quite up there where he used to be. Ares. Ares is a hero that he broke the game, and he started the downhill power creep in this game. That's what Ares did. He was the death knell for Castle Clash hero builds. That said, Ares provides silence against the enemy. That does a lot of damage. He also takes away their energy. He does that very well, and there are a lot of heroes that he can be effective against. Many are immune to silence, but you'll also get the energy reduction. Many are immune to energy reduction. But he'll still get the damage. I have used him, and I'm continuing to use him in things like Forgotten Trial. And he is great for silencing certain heroes out on the board through his skill ability. I'm not worried so much these days about instant skill activation. It used to be that a Revite Ares or a Revite Cupid was absolutely essential. Otherwise, why would you have it? But today, it's about that 3-minute battle. It's about Ares activating his skill, 20 times during combat, rather than just once at the beginning and going out. So I do a Wicked Armor, Sacred Light, Wicked Armor kind of build. And I don't worry about Revite. Not in the game modes that I'm using him. If you want instant skill activation, do a Sacred Light and a Revitalize. That's great. Something like a Fortress Feud, but if you're running like a Forgotten Trial or Advanced Dungeon or something like that, you probably want him to stay alive. I have a Holy Conviction on him, and I have all dodge. Yeah, I can give him accuracy, and he would hit. He would also have a higher percentage chance of inflicting these conditions but that's against human opponents. I can't use Ares against human opponents. I have to use them against the computer. And yet again, the computer has no dodge. And they don't have high accuracy. And they don't have those kinds of builds. So I can use a dodge Ares. And he's going to be silencing the enemy. He's going to be hitting it. It's not, accuracy is not really an issue. So pets, I would go some kind of a healing pet. Or I'd go like Cold Drake for some damage negation. Or a Radiant Hawk, Mutant Radiant Hawk. Great pet to use on our friend. To give some damage reduction. Anything you can do to keep him alive. He's a hero that you use for the most specific and niche of game modes. If you have an Ares and then you get a Ripper or a Phobos, you wouldn't really never look at Ares again. Not unless you're going really into the most minute and minutia-driven game modes in Castle Clash. Trixie Treat. Trixie Treat is an Archdemon hero. Just like Crystal Wraith or Gunslinger. I have her set up for that. I have her with a Sunder. I have her with the Brawlers. Brawlers just to get her attack up. Warden Neutral is our Archdemon or our bosses or our goblins. Equipment, I have her with a Pyre Mage. I have her with all attack traits. For pets, I would probably run a mutant pet. Mutant pet like Brave Croc or Bellicose Bull or I might even run her with a Chickaboom, Punching Box. Whatever I can do to make sure that it is attacking and it is helping her to be a better attacker. I just want many hits as possible against the enemy. That's really all you'd use her for. I don't see her being a viable hero in any other kind of game mode other than high DPS game modes. And when you are under attack, she does not last long, especially with this build. You'll even find that a Trixie used in like a Lava Isle 3 or 4 doesn't survive very long, or a Lonely Sea, unless she's got a good support team and there's a healer, or you got a revive on her or something, or you got a tree Antares on somebody's team. So it's really massive damage dealing over time cumulatively, or nothing else with Trixie. Dread Drake. Dread Drake is a hero that I still use, and I still find to be very, very effective. He is great for base damage. He's also a great base defender. I have a Sacred Light, and I have a Wicked Armor combo on him. You know, classic. I got a Holy Conviction, and I've got all attack. Not worried so much about the hero damage. I'm worried about him being able to take out a building with just like one cannonball. And he fires 15 of them at a time. And if you put a pet with dodge on him, he could be invulnerable in the Insane Dungeon series and take out an entire dungeon in a matter of moments, as long as you get above 10,000 dodge on him. So you can build him with dodge as well. I don't think accuracy so much matters because he's not able to kill off heroes. So the accuracy doesn't make that big of a deal. Either you're just trying to smash up buildings or you're trying to smash up dungeons. If I don't want to do that and I want to run like a little bit of a... If I just want to... I want to pimp my Dread Drake on base or something, I'll do an Empower and then a Wicked Armor. And he will auto-proc and every couple seconds send out 15 cannonballs. And what that results in is the following. If I'm attacked by somebody who's got like Zephs and Doves and stuff, then they'll say, oh, you know, like they'll drop their Zeph and their Dove and they'll get hit by a cannonball immediately. And then they'll say, oh, he's using Dread Drake. And then 3 seconds later, Dread Drake gets killed. Okay, so it's just a wink at other players and a, hey, you know, I still remember when Dread Drake was awesome. That's really the only move that I'm making. And it's not something that's going to sustain itself against today's top heroes. But wow, he can clear a dungeon. And the highest dungeons we've got, as long as you get him over 10k dodge, he'll take care of everything. So use a pet with dodge or use a healing pet. Use Cute Kitsune, Mutant Cute Kitsune to raise his dodge. use him alongside like a Miss Magic and he gets a 96% dodge boost. Now all of a sudden you've got a dungeon team and you're 3-flaming every dungeon in the game in 90 seconds or less, because this guy can pump out so much damage and clear out buildings so quickly. Minnow, speaking of damage and clearing things out quickly, I run Minnow. Minnow hits so many buildings, 55 plus buildings at a time, reduces energy of ground units. I run him particularly with just one build. This is why the other one isn't even upgraded, okay? I run him with a Wicked Armor. He is so susceptible to reflect and deflect damage in this game. I would go Wicked Armor as his primary talent. And then you can do a Revitalize. First thing he hits, boom, base is done, okay? You can run him with a Wicked Armor and an Iron Will, and he won't get stunned up. He'll also get an even bigger attack increase. Something I would recommend for maybe like a Forgotten Trials, where you're not so interested in Minnow proccing once and then dying, or smashing up a base and then it's over, but activating his skill 5-6 times and trying to get those boosts going and trying to get enough that it's actually able to clear that kind of a board. But Wicked Armor and a Revite, I might use them in like an Expedition. Every time I touch something, it's 100%. You can run an Unholy Pact. I find that he dies super quick. And like the little bit of extra attack that I get, I don't find it to be super, super helpful. That would probably be my second talent. But then he's only going to get maybe one skill activation because the Reflect and Deflect is going to kill him. So if you want him to like suicide himself, Unholy Pact, Revite, Wicked Armor, Revite, it's a little less attack, but at least he can stay alive and maybe activate a second, third, fourth time. I was playing around with many different variations. I'll mention this last about his build. You can run a stealth on him. And what will happen is you send him out towards somebody's board. He gets killed. You then use a low-level Triantar, low-level Reviver that's going to bring back Minnow at a lower health than stealth requires. Stealth might be, I'm just making this up top of my head, might be 35% health. Anything below 35, he becomes stealthy or elusive and can't be targeted. He also gets a huge attack bonus. So you send him out there to die, you bring him back with a low-level tree. He comes back at maybe 30% health. Stealth instantly activates. He becomes super beast strong. Can't be stopped under most circumstances, and the first thing he hits, he 100%s the base. That's the stealth Minnow approach. I was also experimenting with low-level revives and maybe a stealth insignia and different ways of doing that. I've never personally done it. It's just for experimentation purposes, but the stealth Minnow approach and a low-level Triantar to bring him back is a way to pretty much guarantee that you can't get stopped in a Guild Wars. It would be tough, and things would have to go against you pretty hard. So that's one way to do it. But the Wicked Armor and the Revite, or Wicked Armor Iron Will, or Wicked Armor Unholy Pact, or Wicked Armor even a little bit of damage reduction, like a Sacred Light, keep them alive, 5-6 skill activations, get you through any dungeon, any Forgotten Trial, and actually keep them along for the ride. Put Drogo on him. Damage reflect, that helps to keep him alive, and it gives him a 100% attack boost. You'll get a greater attack boost from Punching Box. But Punching Box has the nasty tendency of robbing Minnow of the building he's about to hit. Minnow will come up, he's got a Revite, he's all jacked out, he's ready to go, he swings, but Punching Box destroys the building, and Minnow doesn't even proc. So use Drogo Pet. It's a little less attack, but you're guaranteed to hit something with Drogo Pet. Let's move on. Okay, Moltanica. He's just like Artica. He does a certain thing in the game. He's become an older hero. I mean, nobody's going to debuff like Moltanica does. He reduces the attack speed, movement speed by 90%. He takes 85% less damage. He recovers health to 1,800% his attack. but he still gets turned to dust immediately. He's an old hero, and there's nothing currently without hero augmentation in terms of their statistics and attributes. There's nothing that we can really do other than to give him a defensive build. Sacred Light, that's probably the number one I'd recommend. Flame Guard would be probably like a distant second. Sacred Light along with a Wicked Armor so he doesn't get reflect and deflect. I gave him all accuracy. I gave him a Holy Conviction. I give him a healing pet, or I give him a little bit of extra dodge boost through like a Kukitsune, or lowering the dodge through like a Battle Monkey. Lowering the dodge of enemies that pairs very well with his debuffing abilities. He's a hero you just play around with to revisit the old days of Castle Clash. Not essential by any means other than through a collector's perspective. Holy Conviction, all accuracy, and some kind of healing pet or damage reduction. So I'm making sure I got all the categories. We have Cupid. Okay, Cupid, just like my Ares. Not worried anymore about a Revite. I'm worried about him staying alive, and I want him to survive the full battle. Invaluable in something like a Forgotten Trials. And with a Sacred Light, he's going to actually live and become a real hero that you can use. And I can do here I did a silent cover. He doesn't really put out much damage. He's not an attack hero. He's a buffer. But I just tried to build up as much damage reduction on him as possible. If I want him to activate immediately in player versus player in game mode, yeah, I'll use a Revite. But other than that, I wanted him to last through a 3-minute battle. And he does so with this particular build. So definitely massive damage reduction. I gave him Holy Conviction, and I also gave him all dodge. Just pure straight dodge across the board and damage reduction. And he's amazing. And he will help the whole team, and I can send him out with 5 other heroes protecting him and a healer on the team, like a Wallawalla. I can send him out on base attacks, and I can get the 84% damage boost applied to my heroes and 80% movement speed boost, and I can get all these great buffs. But the problem is that doesn't apply against Zephyricas. It doesn't apply against Dove Keepers. Most of the time it doesn't apply against Levanicas because they all have damage caps. So his utility is restricted to some very niche game modes and game uses. Other than that, I wouldn't really chase the guy. But in those few areas where he does get used, he does excel. Give him a healing pet. I think Bublo is an excellent pet to have, which brings me to my second talent on the guy. I really want to recommend this talent. Sprint. A problem I had with Cupid was always the following. If I had a Revitalize on him, and all he has to do is hit something once, he'll give a huge energy boost to the whole team. Well, the problem was he's real slow, and the rest of the team would rush ahead, and he would lag behind, and he would never be able to hit anything before the rest of the team's already gone. The Revite wouldn't activate because he wasn't fast enough to actually hit a building. The rest of the team would go much, much faster. With the Sprint, it gets his movement speed going. This way, when I drop like 6 heroes at a time, he'll actually rush ahead of the others. And now with the Revite, he hits something, the whole team gets a big damage and energy boost. And it actually functions like it's supposed to. So give him some speed, and then a Revite. That's what I did through Forgotten Trials, and he was always the one to activate first. No matter what combination, I would throw the heroes out, no matter where they were on the board. So again, it's of a small use, but it can make a big difference if you're into those kinds of game modes. Golem. All I ever use is a Sacred Light. The second one I just have on there. A Sacred Light with a silent cover, a Sacred Light with a soul healer, a Sacred Light with a Revitalize. There could be very, very useful. You're going to give a heal and a damage reduction to the team. Golem is the only healer that provides damage reduction in addition to healing. Not even Walla can do that. The case can be made that Occultist turns damage into healing, but you're already taking that damage. So if it's too much, you get killed. Golem will help to prevent that. So damage reduction and healing. He does serve a purpose in this game. He's not used nearly as much as he used to be, but in things like a Warden challenge, maybe specific Forgotten Trials, one or two, like the new kind of game modes that they come out that are a little quirky now and again. Yeah, Golem could be used, but the majority of the time, a good Walla or a good Occultist will see you much further than Golem will. Often a preferred build is Sacred Light and Wicked Armor, because he does put out a lot of damage and he's susceptible to reflect and deflect, even with all that damage reduction. A Holy Conviction, and he's all dodge, because I'm only interested in his healing and his damage reduction he gives the team. I'm not interested in him being accurate and causing damage to those enemies around him. Give him a healing pet, give him a pet that reduces damage, give him a pet that provides a little reflect or deflect. So you got like Cold Drake, you've got Radiant Hawk, you've got Q Kitsune, you've got a lot of these great mutant pets that continually serve a purpose in keeping our heroes alive. Dracax. Dracax is the guardian of the warehouse. He's a hero that does very little in this game. That's sad, but he's never really served much of a purpose. Does a little bit of damage. He reduces the healing process of those enemies that he affects in combat. He's not a hero you should chase after by any means. I have some damage reduction on him. I have a Wicked Armor. Okay, it's the classic old hero build currently in the game. Give him some health, give him some damage reduction. Make sure they don't die when they hit something. There you go. I've got Holy Conviction, and I have all accuracy on the man. All accuracy, because without that, he's not actually going to be doing anything here in his skill. So he has to have accuracy. He's a hero I don't use. I would just probably give him a healing pet, and if you're going to use him, you would be using 3 other heroes in his place far before you actually use Dracax. I did try Dracax just for fun in the new Forgotten Trial levels, and I thought, man, maybe Dracax will help me against some of these Rambards, some of these Occultists that I was dealing with, but he didn't. So just try to keep him alive or enjoy his graphics as he sits there in your warehouse and in your altar, accumulating dust. Lady Leo, she provides some damage. She does a stun. Give her a Sacred Light and a Wicked Armor. I mean, without that, she just turns to dust like all these older heroes. She's got to have some damage reduction. I think a Holy Conviction would be great. I'm not paid by Holy Conviction. I'm not receiving proceeds from Sacred Light or Wicked Armor. I receive nothing by these recommendations. I'm saying these older heroes need damage reduction, a larger health pool, and not die the first time they hit something. Our heroes today can make it through that, but these older ones, no way. Sometimes there's hundreds of thousands of health difference between a hero like this and a hero like today's. And even though they got a built-in bulwark, a built-in level 8 bulwark, it doesn't mean like what it used to. And even then it didn't mean too much. So Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, a Holy Conviction, and all. I think on her, just for fun, I think I put all attack. All accuracy would be much better if you're actually trying to hit heroes. But I don't really use her. It's not a hero I would recommend to be using. If you're going to use her in a computer-based mode, player versus computer, and their accuracy wouldn't matter anyway. So that's why I went with all attack, and I'll just have fun with her every once in a while in a particular game mode. You want to use some kind of healing pet, or if you really want to push her in terms of damage, give her Brave Croc or give her a Bellicose Bull, and maybe up the damage that the hero takes, or get a couple of extra attacks in when it comes to something like a Brave Croc. Beast Tamer. Beast Tamer is an archdemon hero, and I got him set up the same way as the other heroes that are in that game mode. A Sunder, a Brawlers, a Pyre Mage, all attack traits. And for pets, I'm using a pet variety of pets, but as much damage as they can do, better phrased, as quickly as they can attack successfully, and also cause as much damage that is necessary to reach damage cap. Do that, you're good. Beast is not used for me in any other game mode. With this particular build, he'd turn to dust. With any other build, he wouldn't be Beast Tamer. He would just be an average hero doing nothing, trying to make our heroes as best as they can be. He's a fast attacker who's 2 heroes in one. He and his little buddy, the Grizzly Bear. And he counts as 2. So when it comes to DPS, he's real high up on the list, like maybe 4th, 5th highest. And others like Gunslinger, Trixie Treat, they all provide little spawns that help in battle and that help them to get as many attacks in as possible. So use an attack pet like a Chickaboom, Punching Box, Brave Croc, etc. Candy Cane. Candy Cane provides a dodge boost to your hero. She's very squishy. She has very limited survivability. I've only ever used her against the computer. Even with a Blade Dance and a Sacred Light, that's how I have her built. Blade Dance, Sacred Light. She doesn't really put out too much damage. You don't have to worry about Wicked Armor. Blade Dance and a Sacred Light, she still dies off pretty quick. But in advanced dungeons, if you can get her dodge, really high, like 10,000, 11,000, she'll be just fine. And she's also given then a boost to your team. But it's not to the whole team. A hero like Miss Magic is a goddess compared to Candy Cane, who does virtually nothing in this game. So Candy is long expired. Yeah, there's some nostalgia factor and a little bit of, fun putting her out on base now and again, but she's not a hero that I would chase after by any means. If you are going to build her with some damage reduction, get her dodge up. Give her a pet that increases dodge through its traits, or give her like a Eulophant pet. Eulophant increasing dodge capability of a hero every X seconds. I have her with all dodge and a Holy Conviction. Harpy Queen. Harpy Queen still does have some utility in this game. She's a great hero for auto proc, just like Dread Drake. You sit her on a base, you give her a Sacred Light, and then an Empower. And she will continuously auto fire again and again and again. And those hits will slow the bad guys' movement speed down to a crawl. So she does a really nice job. She does not have the capability of actually killing heroes, though. She has very low attack damage. So she really just slows them down in their attack and movement speed and makes them weaker versions of themselves. But that can be a real benefit. So I do run her with a Sacred Light and an Empower as a base defender. I've never used her in any attack scenario outside of an occasional Warden challenge. I have a Holy Conviction on her, and I have all accuracy, because nothing in her skill description is going to happen unless she actually hits the enemy. She doesn't hit, they don't get reduced in their abilities, and she's useless. So all accuracy, and then Holy Conviction and Empower. I give her some kind of maybe Q Kitsune again for extra dodge, or Mini Angie, or Rudolph, or Fennec. Something that give her some much needed healing. She has no healing capability. Got Destroyer. Destroyer is real old school hero. Destroyer is going to be a hero that was difficult to build, where he is able to actually provide utility in this game. He is not a hero I would chase after. He's not a hero that you need in any way. He's not a hero that I've ever been able to really see shine. I had a build on him that I think that does do a decent job. It's Sacred Light, and then a Survival, a Holy Conviction, all accuracy, because he is designed to hit heroes, and Drogo Pet. and he will zero out on damage and do so for a very long period of time. His deflect will stack with Drogo Pet, providing 4 out of 6 seconds where he is immune to damage of any kind. And then you throw in the survival, and the survival causes him to be immune to damage for 3 seconds. And so you kind of hope and pray that those things kind of align in such a way that during the 2 seconds of vulnerability, the survival 3-second invulnerability starts to happen. And you see over time that he is able to basically be invulnerable until that 1 second where he does become vulnerable. But that's where the Sacred Light comes in and reduces the damage from that strike. You get a lot of heals from the survival. You get the heals from his life drain. I think that it's a decent build, and it's a way that he can actually be used. In the end, he just stuns up people and causes a little bit of deflect. He doesn't do really anything more than that. So Drogo Pet, Sacred Light, Survival, Holy Conviction to keep him alive so he can get one-shotted, and all accuracy so he can actually hit people. Otherwise, what's the point of even using him? So Destroyer, not an essential hero, but a fun hero to play around with and try to get him to be, actually of utility in today's game. Siren is another Archdemon hero, and we've not used her in Archdemon in quite some time, so she may be reaching her time. There may be a time in the future where she's again used, but currently, not so much anymore. I've got her with the classic Archdemon build that we saw in Beast Tamer, Heartbreaker, Crystal Wraith, and that's the Sunder and the Brawlers, and a Pyre Mage, all attack traits, and a pet that's going to hopefully be causing repeated damage over time, like a Chickaboom or something, or a Draco pet, or a Lil Havoc, or anything like that. She increases the damage that the bad guys are going to be receiving. So if they were taking 300,000 prior to Siren being dropped on the board, as soon as Siren goes in there, they start taking 48% more damage. So that number would jack up considerably. You'd be up to like almost 450,000. If I did that correctly. And so Siren has some use and utility, but if you're not using her in Archdemon, and I'm not even these days, I don't think you're using her at all. And she's gotten to the part of Castle Clash history, Castle Clash lore. So Siren, hats off to you, but as a brief aside, if you gave me some kind of skin for these older heroes, we put the skin on, and unlike the skins they're putting out today, the skin affected some of the basic attributes of these older heroes. It's like specifically designed just to jack up these heroes, where they get an extra 15,000 attack, where they get 350,000 extra health, where they get 300 extra dodge, 800 extra accuracy, etc., where they get an augmentation to their skill ability at like skin level 10, and it provides 30% damage reduction as well as 1 heal every 4 seconds. Friend, now all of a sudden you've got an entire new revolution in Castle Clash where you're using old heroes and they're actually viable in today's game. Got Pixie. Pixie dispels conditions, and she does little damage. She's kind of a sniper as well. She's not used very often anymore. She has very limited use. You would use other heroes far before you would use Pixie. I gave her a Sacred Light. I gave her a Wicked Armor. So she doesn't die, reflect, and deflect, and has enough health and damage reduction to stay alive for longer than 5 seconds. I got a Holy Conviction on her. I have all accuracy, because if she's not doing that, then what's she doing? She's just providing a lukewarm heal every once in a while. And Walla would be 100 times better than that. She's removing debuffs, but we have heroes that do a ton better job at that than she does. So I gave her all accuracy, and I would give her a healing pet of some kind, because you can't just rely on her own heal to keep her alive. Not in today's game. Orcsbane. Orcsbane, I gave him a Sacred Light and a Wicked Armor. That's a really nice strong build. I also have him, I believe, Oh, I see he doesn't have a skin. Okay. I also will use him with a regen. Okay, he's one of these few heroes, few and far between, where I would deviate from the Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, old school hero build and actually use a regen on the man. He has no cooldown, just like Pumpkin Duke. So he can keep just going and going and going and going and going. Now, you talk about skill stacking. There's nothing here that's going to be skill stacking that means anything. He's going to be attacking, rapid fire. And the slow, it doesn't stack. Okay, it's 90%. You'll see the hero creeping along, and it happens again, and the hero's still creeping along. They don't stop. So that doesn't stack. But he still has no cooldown, so he can still rapid fire like it's nobody's business. Horror is another thing that never really took off in the game. Was waiting for Fear and Horror to become popular. It never did. So try a regen or a Wicked Armor. I went Holy Conviction on the guy. You bet. He heals. And now all of a sudden his own healing process is increased by 180%. That does not transfer to other heroes. Holy Conviction's healing process boost is for the hero only. The one that has the enchantment. And I gave him all dodge. He's a support hero. Yeah, he's designed to heal. He's a healer. He's one of the old school healers in the game. And so that's the build that I came up with him. And he is a good hero. He's immune to stun or coma. They're synonymous in this game, coma and stun. You can run him in the dungeons and he'll just breeze right through. He and a couple of other heroes like Heartbreaker are immune to stun and Demogorgon. And you look at the skill description, you can build a team of 6 pretty readily in this game without having all the heroes. And each of those heroes will be able to coast through all of those nasty stun towers without getting all locked up. Death Knight. We've got Death Knight with Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, and a Holy Conviction, and all accuracy. He's designed to hit. He causes a little bit of damage around. He dispels. No, he creates an immunity to a condition. You can't get fancy with this guy. Until we get to a certain skill level, there's really nothing that you can use him for, I don't see him being a big help in game modes, even like Archdemon, where you're inflicted with a condition, and then all of a sudden he's going to be dispelling that. Walla would do a better job. Heck, Occultist would do a better job. This guy only does it to 4. Grants 7 nearby allies immunity to 1 condition. Okay, it's every 4 seconds with a 5-second cooldown. There are better heroes to use. So he's kind of gotten retired. Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, Holy Conviction, all accuracy. Give him a healing pet. That's if you want to use him in any capacity and have him be of any utility in this game. And we have Snowzilla, the mighty Snowzilla. I have Sacred Light, Wicked Armor, Holy Conviction, as well as all accuracy on the man. I wanted him to actually hit. Now, he'll do pummeling damage, but he does have a cooldown. Doesn't stack his skill. He doesn't really have a high attack rate. He used to back in the day, but these days, no. There are heroes that do a better job at what he does. He's not a hero I would be chasing after. If you're going to use him with a high damage dealing or high attack rate pet like a Chickaboom. And, have some fun with him in a particular game mode now and again. There's really no other use for Snowy. Atlanticor is, and I'll make the judgment call here on this video. Atlanticor is about the only shard hero that you can purchase for shards. About the only shard hero in the game that has use at endgame. The other shard heroes have been either replaced by better snipers, better straightforward attackers, or better healers. And you wouldn't really be using them. But Atlanticor you use throughout this entire game. He is essential in game modes like Advanced Dungeons, in Forgotten Trials. There are little niche uses for the guy. Because, and this goes back to our rule of Castle Clash heroes, he does one thing better than anybody else. He deflects 100% of the damage that he takes. So he becomes invulnerable. There is a cooldown. And there will be a time period where he is not invulnerable. During that time, he gets killed pretty quickly. He can also get killed pretty quickly when you first drop him out on the board. This is why I would recommend a revive on the man. Give him a second and a third opportunity to activate his skill. And then a revitalize. So the first time he actually touches something, that shield goes up. This is what I use to kill off Gunslinger copters in the advanced dungeons, or kill off certain heroes in a Forgotten Trial. I'll drop him out on the board, it turns to dust. Then he comes back, touches something, shield goes up. Bad guys start blasting him from all over the board. All of a sudden you see all the bad guys start turning to dust. They died from his deflect. So he is the guy who can do that, and no other hero can do it to 100% degree. This is the only hero whose deflection ability I will never sacrifice. I'll do damage reduction on my Michael, damage reduction on my Rowdy Rascals or my Asura, to make them more effective, longer lasting heroes. If I do any kind of damage reduction on this guy, you're ruining him. If you do any kind of dodge on this guy, you're hurting him terribly, and you're hurting yourself. It's really only one way to go with this guy, and that is all health. So traits, all health. Nothing else is of any use. He doesn't need accuracy. He's deflecting. He's not an attacker, so everything else is useless. You just need health. So up his health, and for his enchantment, I looked at every one of the enchantments, and yeah, you can make a case that one or two of them will help to increase his health and this and that, and they will. And a little bit extra health never hurt the guy. I'm not saying that's bad. Remember, these are recommended builds. I found that Cursed Battlefield really does help, because when they attack him, and that's what he's designed to do, get attacked, all of a sudden they receive 16% more damage. Well, that counts on his deflect. And all of a sudden I see the bad guys on the board just start disappearing. That is something of utility, purpose, and value. And so I found really good effect and really good results from Cursed Battlefield. Of viable, useful heroes. I'm not going into old Shard Legends or our elites and our ordinary heroes. I understand, I'm not putting it down. I'm putting it down. That there's 4 better healers than a druid. In addition, there's 85 better attackers than an executioner. I know that we can make little niche builds and create, some amazing results, but I wouldn't be raiding head-to-head hero fighting with your alchemist. Okay, so we're going to skip the elites and the ordinaries. That brings us to probably my favorite hero in the game, and a good hero to end with. Our friend Spirit Mage. Spirit Mage has no cooldown. He's going to pump out 16 missiles. Those 16 missiles are going to do a tremendous job. A tremendous job of doing hero killing, but especially base damage. This is probably the number one hero to use in dungeons. With the regen, he can keep gaining energy that helps with his no cooldown. You can do a whole bunch of different crests. If you want even more energy, use it in power. If you don't have a high enough dodge rate to get him over 10,000, you can put like a Blade Dance, or you could put a Nimble on him. It's not going to be as effective as a long-term dodge boost, because these things tend to go away every once in a while or get dispelled. But if you need a little bit extra dodge, do that. Put a pet like Mutant Pet Kitsune on him. Put somebody like a Miss Magic next to him. Anything you can do to get his dodge above 10,000. If you have done that, you need to have a Wicked Armor. So I found that the best build for this guy is a regen, a Wicked Armor. He's got all dodge, so he's at a dodge level right now where I can use him in Forgotten Trial, 50 whatever, 55, and he'll not die. He'll survive that full battle. He may not be doing the kind of attacking that I want him to be doing, but he will survive those full battles, and he will do a great job at taking out buildings and some heroes that maybe don't have so much damage reduction or a damage cap. I have a hyper strength to get his attack up, but especially to get his energy regain up. It's the same thing that regenerate does. So I'm getting nearly double the effect. I have all dodge on the man. And I would use a pet like Mutant Chimera pet. Is also a great hero, great pet to use on something like a Pumpkin Duke or even an Orc's Bane. Any hero that doesn't have a cooldown. Mutant Chimera pet is going to increase the energy regain rate of those heroes, just like regen and hyper strength do. And now you get a third layer of energy regain boost. And boom, you got a hero that keeps activating skill like that. And he'll pump out magic missiles, rapid fire machine gun style, one after the next. So an amazing, amazing hero. Still a hero that has a viable place in Castle Clash. Best dungeon hero, I'd say. That's for my 2 cents. I want to thank you for taking this journey with me through Castle Clash. It's been a fun time looking at each one of these heroes. Remember, these are recommended builds. Everybody's got their own playstyle. Everybody's got their own inventory of availability. So we're just looking at a spectrum of hero builds that probably provide good utility in a variety of game modes and help make your Castle Clash experience a better one. Please remember the cardinal rule of Castle Clash. Build hero experts, don't build generalists. We make great teams by bringing experts together on one team. When functioning together, that is a team that cannot be beat, an expert team. Thank you very much and enjoy your clashing. Bye-bye.